A very warm welcome to you, Nilesh. We are thrilled to have you here with us. Handing the session over to you now.
Hey, thank you, Shama. That was a great introduction. Thank you so much. And thanks, IPL, for providing me this opportunity to share my thoughts and the concepts that I've learned over my 12 years of product management experience with the wider audience. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this masterclass on building an actionable product strategy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Nilesh, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So before beginning, I just wanted to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule on a Saturday morning to spend some time with me in actually understanding what product strategy is and what is meant by an actionable product strategy. Now, product strategy as a concept is very important, complex, and very impactful for an organization. However, this concept is misused, misconstrued, and highly underutilized, and that is one of the reasons why there are a lot of product failures. And we'll touch upon those aspects as we go along. One analogy that I wanted to make related to product strategy is that of a zoom lens. Now, with zoom lens, you can zoom in and zoom out very easily. A product manager or a product leader should have that capability to zoom in to a particular tree in a forest to understand the characteristics of the tree, but immediately being able to zoom out to understand the whole characteristics of the complete forest. So this is an important skill for a product manager to learn, especially while creating a product strategy as to how to quickly zoom in and zoom out at the right time. With that, I would like to begin with this masterclass. And thanks, Shama, for the wonderful introduction. I do not want to spend a lot of time here with the introduction again. Just a brief introduction. I work as a senior product manager at Adobe. I am also a product mentor at various platforms, and I also speak at various conferences. I have overall 14 plus years of experience with 12 years in product management, and I've worked across various functions. Now, one of the important things about working across various functions is you are able to be in the shoes of people in those functions so that you can easily empathize with them and then understand how this stakeholder engagement happens during creation of a product strategy. I've worked with a lot of organizations, both established organizations and niche startups, like Shama mentioned. Some of the domains that I've worked across, and I've worked across quite a bit of domains, which also helps because you can sort of transfer those characteristics or ideas or insights from one domain to another domain. And these domains are digital marketing, loyalty, Internet of Things, telecom, analytics, real estate, and workplace productivity. These are some of my specialties: product strategy, product discovery, opportunity analysis, customer development, product design, pricing, and go-to-market strategy. What I will do now is I want to highlight some session objectives that I have out of this session. I want to provide audience with a real world view of how product strategy works in an organization. So if you have read articles, if you have gone through a lot of sessions, what is present in those articles and sessions is a very high level overview of how product strategy needs to be created, but it does not go in depth with the concepts and what actually happens within an organization to come together to bring out a clear actionable product strategy. And that is what we are going to do in this session. And we'll also take an in-depth end-to-end example of a product and see how we can use these concepts that we learn along to actually create a product strategy. The second objective that I have is to enable audience to create actionable product strategies using the novel frameworks that I'm going to highlight. Now, product strategy is not just a responsibility of the product leader or a CPO. It starts from every person who is in the product organization, and not just product organization, but all the cross-functional organizations coming together, but led by the people in the product organization. So every person, not just a product leader, but even the associate product manager or junior product manager should be able to at least have that strategic thinking to create an actionable product strategy. And that is what I want to enable to this audience. And the third objective is to dispel misconceptions. So there are a lot of misconceptions related to what product strategy is. Some confuse it with business strategy, some confuse it with roadmap, and so on. So that is what I would like to do, because I like to introduce some definitions and concepts so that we have a common base to talk upon and build on the concepts to create a product strategy. So these are my session objectives. Of course, the metrics are completely internal, whether I've been able to actually deliver on these objectives. But just wanted to highlight to the audience as to what is in store for them going on in the next 2 to 3 hours. Before we begin with the agenda, I would like to have the lay of land and understand who the characteristics of the audience, so that I can tune my presentation according to the needs of the audience. So Shama, if you have the poll ready, if you could share the poll with the audience, and I would request the audience to please just participate. Very simple polls, just participate and help me get an understanding of what is the overall structure and composition of the audience that is listening to it. And this is experience in product management and not the overall experience, just to clarify the first poll.
I hope you can see the results, Nilesh.
Yeah, I can see the results. So it's pretty much, I think close to
Mixed crowd,
80%
yeah.
is in less than 10 years category. Fine. Yeah, that should be good.
Should I launch the next one as well?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Well, it's great to see that everybody has some understanding of the product strategy. So we have about 63% saying product strategy is a list of goals you want to achieve.
That's great.
Okay, sharing the results now.
So this percentage looks a bit.
So 67% say product strategy is how you differentiate yourself from the competition, be it on capability or cost.
Okay.
That's the maximum votes.
Okay. 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 Sure. Can you launch a third poll? So this is if you're working in an organization or a particular product in any capacity, be it engineering, sales, marketing, product. Are you aware of what your product strategy is the question here. Okay, it's pretty much evenly divided, but it's good to hear that at least 50%, close to 50% are aware of what product strategy is. So let's go through the agenda of the session. Very simple agenda, but very complex topics. So since a lot of the folks have close to less than 10 years of experience, I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. So let's go through the agenda. First is I'll explain what is actionable product strategy. Actionable product strategy. Now, you may ask why use the term actionable in front of product strategy, and we'll discuss why that is the case in the first section. The second section is 11 APS frameworks. So these are frameworks that I've created, and these are not independent frameworks. They go hand in hand to create a complete actionable product strategy. The third one is we'll see example, an end-to-end example, not say a complete end-to-end example, but a decent example, because product strategy is not something which is very simple to complete. But I've tried my best to mimic how product strategy is created in organizations. So we'll take an example of a famous product there, and we'll also introduce a concept of product strategy myopia, which are some of the tips and tricks that you need to take care while creating a product strategy. The fourth section is the APS dependencies. Now, product strategy is not created in isolation. It has a lot of dependencies. It also depends on where your product enters into the overall business environment. And that is what we are going to discuss in the APS dependencies, if we have some time at the end. And finally, we'll end the session with the key takeaways. So before moving on to the next section, I'll just quickly, sorry, Shama, I have not discussed this with you, but there is a small, very short word cloud thing that I have thought of that I'll be sharing with the audience. If you could just respond to this particular poll, and I'll show you what that is. If you could give an answer to that poll in the word cloud, that will be helpful. So the question is, describe strategy in one word. So you can click on the link that I've shared in the chat, and then you can just enter your answer. It is completely anonymous. So we'll see the responses here in the word cloud format. So if you could quickly highlight, quickly click on the link and share. So plan, okay, vision. That's great. Simple, revenue, prioritization, action, good, execution, okay, method, okay, path is a very good term. Good, path, action, something that I was looking at. Yes. Roadmap, okay. Expectations, clarity. Okay. So I think that gives me a good enough idea of the understanding of strategy in particular. So let's go to the slide deck again. Thanks for everyone sharing your one word insights on the word cloud. Now let's move ahead to the first section, which is an actionable product strategy. Now I want to treat this term actionable product strategy in a group of words. For example, I want to treat strategy as a separate word. I want to treat product strategy as a separate word. And I want to treat actionable product strategy as a third separate group of words. And then we'll sort of build upon that concept from strategy to product strategy and to an actionable product strategy. So let's go ahead. I want the audience to focus on the right side of the canvas. Now we'll take an example and try to understand what strategy is, which will help us resolve what is called as a strategy conundrum. Okay, let's, for example, take an example of a person or a working professional who has taken a sabbatical. He is an avid traveler. He's a tourist, and he wants to, within those 6 months of sabbatical, wants to achieve something. Okay, now take an example that he has decided that he will climb atop of the peak. Okay, this is the scenario that I'm talking about. So there is a working professional who has a sabbatical, who wants to achieve something in that 6 months, something very different from what he is doing, and he wants to have something at the end of the 6 months saying that, hey, I have achieved this thing. So here there's a tourist who wants to reach a peak. So let's say this tourist has a vision that he or she wants to reach the peak. That is the overall vision. Okay, and I want you to particularly go by the numbers that I've highlighted here on top of it. So vision is first. Now to reach the vision, there are a lot of intermediate steps that need to be taken in order to reach the vision. So the second point is the goal. What is the immediate goal that this tourist wants to achieve in order to make progress towards the vision? Okay, so say I have a goal that I'll reach something called as a base camp within a day. And maybe from there, I'll then set another goal. Say I have to climb to a certain second base camp, or climb to the top of the second point, and so on. So these are the goals that this tourist is setting for himself, because planning for end-to-end product vision will bring in a lot of uncertainties. Okay, you don't know whether the weather will go bad, whether the slope is very steep, and so on. So the tourists first focus on what is the immediate goal, which is to reach base camp within a day. If I reach a base camp within a day, maybe I'll take a week or two to acclimatize myself to the environment and so on, and then move towards the next step. Now let's go on to the third point. Now the third point is the current state. Where is the tourist? Tourist is happily sitting at his home, thinking about how I will be able to reach the first goal and ultimately to the vision. Okay. Then let's look at the fourth thing, which is the desired state. So for the immediate desired state is to reach the base camp. Now, what is the difference between a goal and a desired state? The goal has a particular structure that it has to reach within a day and not just reach a base camp. Okay, so there are constraints here, that there is a time constraint that I have to reach within a day, so that by end of say 6 months, I'll be able to reach my vision. Let's go on to fifth point. Now, before going on to fifth point, there is something that I as a tourist value. Okay, and this is something which I've just randomly picked up on priority. I value safety first, that I should be able to reach the base camp very safe. It should also be cost effective. I should not be able to required to spend a lot of money to reach the base camp. I want it to be very convenient, because the journey ahead will be very arduous, and it will be easier for me to conserve my energy during the first base camp trip. I want to reach quickly because I want to reach within a day, and I want the experience to be exciting. So these are the preferences or value preferences, or what as a tourist I value. Now let's go on to the insights. Now I did some research and found that there are 4 options that I can take. I can actually climb to the base camp, which you can see here in the competitor product 1. I can take a train, maybe. There might be a train that is available, which will help me reach the base camp. Maybe there is a cable car that will help me reach a base camp. And there is also an option of a helicopter that I might use to reach the base camp. Now, in insights, what I'm doing here is I am understanding how each of these options or choices that I have fare against my preferences, which I have listed here in what I value. And I create some kind of a analysis saying that train is high safety, mediumly cost effective, highly convenient, say a medium time to reach, and it gives me a nice experience. So if you can see the 6th point, which are the choices, what choices do I have to reach the base camp? I can climb, I can use a train, I can use a cable car, I can use a helicopter, or I can say climb a certain distance and maybe the train has stops and I can take a train from there. A combination of these options as well. Finally, based on my preferences, that is what I value, I see that the train is the most suitable option amongst all these insights that I have gathered. And I then take a decision. So I had multiple choices. I take a decision that I'll take a train. Now by taking a train, I cannot simply stop there. I have to decide what are the actions I need to do to take a train. So if you come to the 9th point, you can see that I need to book tickets, I need to pack, I need to reach the station, I need to catch the train, and then I need to align at a base camp. So this is the whole journey of a tourist who is strategizing, how do I reach my vision? But before reaching the vision, how do I reach my immediate goal? Okay, so what was done? First, a vision was set, an immediate goal was set. I understood what my current state was in the 3rd point. I understood what my immediate desired state is. I gathered some insights. From those insights, I got that there are these choices that I can take. Finally, I make a decision. And then I list down what are the actions that I need to take in order to ensure that the decision is successfully fulfilled. And finally, after that, maybe I'll think of And of course, not maybe, you will actually think of what is the actual roadmap, that is the actual part to do this. For example, the first action you can see is book tickets. Now, if I book tickets, what do I need to do? First, I need to search for a train booking app, then search for time of departure, then search to choose a train, then search for cheaper or convenient tickets. So the first milestone is open the app, check the time of departure, choose the train. Maybe the next milestone is select cheaper seats, add refreshments, check for payment mode, make the payment, receive tickets and email, and take a printout. So these are the actual steps that you take to execute the action, which will ultimately fulfill the decision. So just wanted to ensure that this idea of strategy is clear, and we'll go to the definition now. Now you can see a cross here. Now, without a strategy, user waits till the last day to choose whichever mode is available to use. But in that process, what the user does is it compromises on what is valued to the user. For example, maybe the train tickets are not available. Maybe the cable car service is broken for the day of departure. Maybe helicopter services are not possible because the weather is not supporting that. What will you do? You have to choose a hike, or maybe you have to postpone your plans, and which will affect in turn your vision of reaching the peak in 6 months. So that is what happens when you don't create a strategy. Now let's go on to let's move our focus to the left side of the definition. Okay. Now, before going on to definition, there is one very nice book that I want to recommend everyone, which is Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. I'm very glad if the audience has already read that, but it's a wonderful book on strategy in general, not a product strategy or a business strategy, but just strategy. And it highlights the essence of what strategy is. So if you could see this kernel of strategy to the, which is a small footnote, header note that I've made, the kernel of strategy is to diagnose the nature of challenge. Okay. Diagnose the nature of challenge is what I want to achieve. That is a vision, goals, and so on. Guiding policy for dealing with the challenge. How am I going to deal with the challenge? So that is what I've highlighted in green here as decisions and actions. Okay. And the decisions, and a set of coherent actions to decide the guiding policy. So vision and goals are the nature of challenge that I want to achieve. What is my winning aspiration? What is the guiding policy, or what are the steps I am going to take, which is the decision? And finally, a coherent set of actions. So if you could see this picture on kernel of a good strategy, say you're here now, you want to reach, you want to cross either the mountain or the lake. Both are obstacles, both are challenges that you want to overcome. So what is the guiding policy? Either you decide to climb the mountain or you decide to cross the lake. Now there might be challenges that the mountain is very steep, you are not able to climb, and the lake has a lot of, say, crocodiles, and you are not able to cross the lake by swimming across it. So you clearly know where you want to be, which is the challenge. You have the decision, you will have to take a decision whether you to climb the mountain or you have to cross the lake, which is the guiding policy or the overall approach. And finally, you have to decide what are the coordinated steps of coherent actions. Maybe you'll go to the top and maybe take a north side or a south side and so on, and maybe reach the other side of the mountain and so on. So this is a very important thing that I wanted to highlight. What is the challenge? What is the guiding policy? And what are the set of coherent actions need to take? So in summary, Peter Drucker has mentioned strategy is an approach or a path taken through a set of decisions with some certainty. You cannot have complete certainty. You are calculating the knowledge of futurity. You can a train service, say there might be an accident on the railroad, and the train service has stopped. You cannot do anything in that sense, but you can sort of take your calculated decisions and then decide what path you are going to take. And there are certain constraints and preferences. So I prefer safety, cost effectiveness, convenience, and I have to, my constraint is I want to reach within a day. Okay. To overcome a challenge in order to achieve some goal with the help of systematic efforts or actions. So this might be a lot of definition for you, but what I want to take, what I want the audience to take out of this is strategy is anything related to what my goals are, or what is the challenge that I want to overcome, what are the decisions I take, and what are the actions that will lead to successful execution of those decisions. Now, these actions, as I mentioned, is not the roadmap. So please, strategy is not the roadmap. Strategy is not the plan. There were some comments there. It is the set of what is your goals and what is the path you're going to take to reach the goal. I just wanted to highlight what business strategy is, and we'll touch upon this topic particularly later. So again, you can see Roger Martin and A.G. Lafley. There's another book called as Playing to Win on Strategy. Wonderful book. He also mentions that they also mentioned that business strategy is an integrated set of choices. Now, there is a term they use, which is choices. But for me, choices is the options that I have. For me, decision is what is business strategy, and they are just highlighting that it is a set of choices, which actually means decisions that uniquely positions the firm in its industry to create a sustainable advantage and superior value to the competition. So again, what I want you to take here is a set of decisions and actions to create sustainable advantage and superior value related to the competition. Again, Michael Porter also mentions it's a process of deliberately choosing different set of activities. So I just wanted to highlight and give an overview of what strategy is. Again, it is the nature of the challenge, the decisions that you are taking to overcome that challenge, and what are the actions that you're taking to execute the challenge. And this actions does not mean step-by-step actions or deciding what the solution is. It is just what I need to do so that I execute my decision. Moving on. And what I'll do is at the end of each section, I'll pause because these are some complex concepts, and I'll take questions at the end of each session. Now, let us turn the table and say that you are a product manager. Say that a tourist selects a train for reaching the peak, reaching the base camp. Now, say you are a product manager, and here we come on to what product strategy is. Say you are a product manager of the train, and you want to ensure you have some vision or you have some challenge that you want to overcome. Now, let's go again. Let's focus on the right side of the canvas where vision is mentioned. Say my vision for this train is to be the most preferred choice for base camp travel for travelers looking for safe, timely, cost-effective, convenient, and enjoyable options. So in this vision, I know who is my target market and what I want to become after, say, 5 years or 10 years and so on. I want to become the most preferred choice for base camp travel. Now, what is my immediate goal? So that was my vision. But to reach the vision, I have to set some intermediate goals so that I know that I'm on a track to reach the vision. Okay, so say my business goals is I want to increase the number of travelers by 20% by the end of the year, and my product goal. So there are these two independent goals which we'll talk about later. And say my product goal is to improve the customer satisfaction score by 10% by the end of the year. So these are my goals, and I know that this will help me become the most preferred choice for base camp travel. Now, if you see the third point here, what is the current state? Say my CSAT score is 3.5 out of 10, my safety score is 5 out of 10, timely, cost, convenience, and so on. So this is my score, but I want to reach some desired state in order to reach the vision of most preferred choice. So I have noticed that in order to reach the first goal, that is improve CSAT by 10%, I want to focus on timeliness, I want to focus on convenience, I want to focus on experience. Okay. Then let's go on to insights. And if you notice, I'm following the same pattern. So strategy is the whole path of strategy is common, be it business strategy, be it product strategy. It's just that what decisions or actions you take differs between different kind of strategies. And that I'll highlight here in the strategy pyramid. So let's come back to this example. We completed vision, we completed the goal, we completed the current state, we completed the desired state. Now let us go into insights. Say I did customer interviews, I did a lot of competitor analysis saying that let me see what the cable car is doing better in terms of timeliness, in terms of convenience, in terms of experience. And I got some insights. Say that in terms of time, my train gets delayed in return passengers alighting, cleaning the train, passenger boarding, and so on. Inconvenience, I think it is difficult for users to locate the right train, ticket booking issues that customers face, customer service issues. If I have problem with the train, got delayed, postponed, I cannot reach anyone, timely intimations as to when is my train, should I leave early, should I leave just on time, and so on. Is there food and entertainment available on the train? Okay. Is there a facility for special need passengers on the train? Say I do not need to climb the steps, but I have a slope for differently abled passengers, and so on. Same, I get some insights on the experience. Now the path is very good, so I want to enjoy the mesmerizing views that I have of the mountain. Say the seat space is very less, it is insufficient to maneuver, it is very uncomfortable, it causes fatigue, I cannot change postures, and so on. So I got all these insights. Okay. Now, in order to ensure that I reach the desired state, I have to ensure that I pick some of these insights that will have maximum impact on each of these factors, say timeliness, convenience, experience. And that is where I go on to choices. That is the 6th point. I got the insights. Now, what are the choices I have? Say for time, I select that I improve train preparation and climb time. Okay. Inconvenience, I select that I provide timely intimations and guidance to the users. I provide food and entertainment options. Say in experience, I want to revamp the train, the whole train for views, good views. I want to increase the size of windows, say. I want to change seating. So these are all the options I have, the choices I have. If you go on to the 6th point, that is the decisions. Now I cannot do all these choices. Okay. Because I have a certain constraint that I have to reach the goal by the end of the year. And I've realized that I cannot put my hands everywhere. I have to make a selection. I have to eliminate some choices in order to ensure that I have maximum impact on the desired state. And that is where the 6th point comes of decisions. Say out of all the options, I have 3 decisions. I improve the train preparation time. Say the time taken between one set of passengers alighting and the other set of passengers boarding, and so on. I include intimation and guidance capabilities. Say I'll be able to navigate the user. I'm just giving examples of what these capabilities might be. Say a timely intimation, say, hey, it's 1 hour to your train. Do you want to leave? Or you'll find it at the platform number 3, and so on, all these guidance. And say I decide that I want to do a view and seat revamp. Okay, I want to improve the view that these passengers get, because you can see the experience, the jump of the experience from 2.5 to 5 is a huge jump. So I want to ensure that the experience has maximum impact on my desired state. So I say that I'll improve the overall views, I will revamp the seat, and so on. And finally, then I take certain actions, saying that for train improvements, train preparation time improvements, I might do some kind of a pre-clearance. And mind you, this is not a solution. These are just initiatives that I might be taking to execute the decision. Alight and boarding assistance. Maybe users are confused whether when should I alight, when should I board, and so on. One place of intimation and train locator guidance. Maybe I end up creating a mobile app for the train, saying that, hey, and I'll give notifications, say that, hey, it's time for you to leave, and you'll be able to navigate on the platform, and so on. That might be the final solution, but here I'm just giving a product initiative. Maybe I'll create some way, one place where I give intimations and I give the train locator guidance. And say I either create transparent trains, which might be a big thing, or maybe I'll increase the size of windows. I improve the cushions that I have. I provide adjustable seating, and so on, and ensure that the seat moves, and all these things. These might be big things, but it is the actions that you take based on the decisions you select. Maybe you thought that changing the train view might not be easy to attain, but it is one of the important things that needs to improve the experience. So that is something which you have decided, and then you have set actions on that. And then something different from strategy, which is the roadmap at the end, because I have specifically put it as A and not say 8 or 9, because it is not a part of strategy. Say I create a train app for intimation, I create adjustable seating, I ensure that pre-clearance happens. Say in flights, as you can notice, people come and pick the leftovers before the flight ends, and so on. You provide transparent trains, large windows, and all the details. How do you provide transparent trains? Say you remove the complete, make the top of the train transparent, and so on. So this is what is product strategy. Now let us go at the definition. Here what I have done is I have shifted from a user to a product, if you notice. So what is product strategy? It is a set of decisions or opportunities to pursue. Now, what are these opportunities? What problem you want to solve for the user? Just if you go to the decisions here, train preparation, time improvements. What I want to do for the user is I want to ensure that the user is able to quickly board and alight from the train. So that is the problem that I want to solve. So what are these decisions? Decisions are opportunities that you want to pursue. And what are these opportunities? What problems you want to solve? And actions. What are these actions? What are the high level initiatives to focus on to solve these problems? Okay. Now, why do we do this? You want to put that product on a trajectory towards making the product vision a reality while delivering desirable outcomes for business and customers, which is your business goal and product goal. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to take a set of decisions and a set of actions that will help with execution of the decisions. And in turn, what you do is you put that product on the path towards product vision while ensuring that you achieve the business goals and the product goals. One important point here that I would like to highlight is within the realm of organization strategic context. And the strategic context term I have picked up from Marty Kagan. And I'll going further, we'll ensure I will explain what strategic context is. But why is strategic context important is something I wanted to highlight here. Now, for example, you say your company is an environment friendly company, okay, and which creates only environment friendly products because that is the brand equity that your company has. Say in your product strategy, you create a product that is made of non-biodegradable plastic. Now, this goes against your brand equity or the ethos of the company. And that is where is the clash. You cannot create a product which is completely against your strategic context. So you have to take decisions and actions that help you reach the vision and in between help you achieve the business goals and product goals, but within the boundaries of the strategic context. You have to ensure that it or whatever product strategy you create is in alignment with the overall company or the business vision, company values, business strategy, and so on. And that is what we'll highlight later in the strategic context. So finally, to summarize, decisions, what problem to solve, and what actions you are going to take is what are the high level initiatives to focus on to solve these problems. These are the these are the main 2 points that I want you to take away from what is product strategy. So moving forward now, products, where does product strategy fit in the overall business? I'll explain that to a strategy pyramid. Now for startups, it's very easy. You might have a single business or you might even have a single product. Okay, so see, I am an early stage startup. I'm just creating a product. So your product is same as your product portfolio, is same as your business, and maybe even same as your company because your company has just a single product. So all these strategies sort of get mashed up in a single strategy. But in large organizations, how it happens is you have a corporate strategy, you have a business strategy, which aligns with the corporate strategy. You have a product portfolio strategy, which aligns with the business strategy. And then you have individual functional strategies, which aligns with the product portfolio strategy, as you can see in the pyramid. And finally, you have something called as operational strategies, which helps you in creating roadmaps and so on. Now you have to understand that among these functional strategies is where product strategy sits. And you might have seen a lot of product strategies where you include pricing, you include go-to-market strategy, and so on, in essence, modeling the overall product strategy. And it is okay if there are not of, if your organization does not have a lot of functions, it's just 1 or 2 people creating all the strategies. That at that time, it is understandable that you mix pricing, product, promotion, everything. But if you go and look at the 4 Ps, these are independently handled strategies. That is product, pricing, your promotion, distribution, and so on. So what we'll discuss in this particular masterclass is just the product strategy and not any of the strategies. Of course, business strategy dependency will come, but I just wanted to ensure that I separate product strategy from pricing, business strategy, product portfolio strategy, and so on. I would like to skip. What I'll do is I'll just highlight two aspects: business strategy. Now, in one of the questions in the poll, I had given an option of differentiation, either based on capability or cost, and a lot of you had selected that. But one thing you need to understand is that is not product strategy, that is business strategy, and that is a very vital definition that is massively confused. And I see a lot of articles that blatantly ignore this differentiation, and when they reach larger organizations, they struggle to understand the difference and just mix things. So that is why what I wanted to do here. We'll particularly focus later on business strategy, but I just wanted to ensure that we understand the difference. So what is business strategy? Where to play, how to win, and what should be in place. Say I am targeting a particular market. Okay, say I am a quick commerce app, say Zepto or a Blinkit. Okay, I target working professionals, for example. That is my target market. Now, how to win? How to win is how will I compete? Okay, now already Zepto and Blinkit have significant reach now. Now, how will I compete against these two in the space of working professionals? That is what I need to that is what I need to decide whether I want to focus on differentiating my business against Zepto or Blinkit, or should I reduce my cost so much that a lot of price sensitive individuals in the working professional market are attracted towards my proposition. So that is what is business strategy. Now, what is product strategy? That is a fourth layer here, is what problems to solve and what value to provide, which is the high level initiatives here. Okay, which is what is the decisions and what are the actions. Okay, now what problems to solve? Say maybe working professionals have a different problem. Say I want it delivered in a single box. And not multiple bags and so on, and a lot of problems. I'm just randomly thinking of what problems will working professionals have, but ultimately you need to create a product or a mobile app that will ensure that it aligns with your business strategy, which is that for working professionals, and you have a differentiation against Zepto. Now, then you think as to what problems will you solve for those working professionals and what value will you provide, and that is what product strategy is. So I just wanted to highlight the distinction between product strategy and business strategy, which we'll cover later as well. And finally, as you go through the different stages of the product life cycle, you kind of enhance your solution. So your solution is not just your core product, it increases to generic product, expected product, augmented product, and potential product. So you just do not focus on one single value proposition, you expand your value proposition. For example, let's take an example of Dolo versus Crocin. Now, you could have seen that in COVID cases, a lot of doctors prescribed Dolo instead of Crocin. Okay, so your core product was same. Okay, maybe there was something additional that had your core product was your pill, which is present both in Crocin and in Dolo, but doctors prescribed it because it was safe for all individuals. It has less side effects as compared to Crocin and so on. And that comes into, say, generic product or expected product. Maybe you have a good packaging on top of that. Okay, say you are able to easily remove Dolo, and it would take a lot of effort to remove Crocin from the packet. Your packaging is attractive, your pricing is attractive, and so on. So from a core product which solves the basic need, as your product life cycle, as your product goes through the product life cycle, you sort of improve the overall potential of what value proposition you provide to your customers. Just wanted to highlight that here. Now, before going further, I just wanted to understand from you, did you have any experience, or do you know of any products that have failed? Are you aware of that? Have you heard of certain products that have recently failed, and what are the possible reasons that that might be for those products to fail? If you could put it in the chat quickly, we can check those. If not, I'll quickly go on to the next section. But I just wanted the audience to think a bit as to what products do you think were not successful in the market, and what might be the possible reasons for that. Okay, QB is something I'm not aware of, but yeah, if I could check. Hike, yes, as compared to WhatsApp and Telegram. Very nice. Google Plus, not customer driven. Very nice. Any more? Flipkart owned payment gateway. Maybe I'm not have details on that, but sure. Udan, yes, the B2B e-commerce site. Kodak, very nice. They could not catch up to the digital photography trend. Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next section in interest of time. So I have given 3 examples of product strategies that have failed, the products that have failed and failed because of lack of successful product strategies. So Amazon Fire Phone, Google Plus, and Segway. And I want to quickly highlight some aspects that went wrong, and there might be more as well, but just wanted to highlight. So if you see, Fire Phone was launched in competition to your iPhone, and it was pretty much evenly priced as an iPhone, and it had certain features, saying 3D dynamics. So what you see is when you move your phone, you could see the phone images in 3D. Okay, so this was something that was a solution which was looking for a problem to solve. So it was just an output delivered. Okay, now they did not consider that people might be really interested to have something like a dynamic perspective. What problem does it solve? It's just good to look at, but will a customer spend a price of the iPhone for a Fire Phone just to see it in 3D? No, probably not. A Firefly app to scan images and search on Amazon. No differentiation. You can use the Firefly app on your iOS, Android, so on. There was an Amazon App Store which had very fewer unrated apps. So it is difficult to take advantage of mobility, which is the core value proposition of a mobile phone. Okay, there are not sufficient apps on your Amazon App Store. Yeah, Shama, we'll pause after this slide. And finally, it was bulky and highly priced because it was not solving the right problem. Let's look at Google Plus. There was something called as a circle system, okay, which was very complex for the user and very less user friendly to manage. So there was no sufficient lack of sufficient validation that was done with the user needs and from the usability perspective. Lack of focus on security. You could have seen that there were a lot of password hacks with related to security of Google Plus, and which is a hygiene factor for a lot of people because you are just exposing your accounts. Dependency on other products on Google Plus login. So what Google did is it attached, in order to increase adoption of Google Plus, it attached Google Plus to every other product possible. Say it attached to YouTube. So in fact, if you want to log into YouTube, you have to have a Google Plus login and so on. So the focus was completely on business goals without thinking of what the user will need. User will have to create an account, user will have to authenticate every time and so on. And they tried to copy competition with just rebranding. So a Facebook Live was replaced by an OnePlus or something. So no differentiation. Let's take an example of Segway, which is a hardware product similar to Amazon Fire Phone. So it was a product which was a very ingenious product, but not a solution to a particular market. They tried to then find a target market and solve some use cases of the market, but then it was too late and they could not do it effectively. So they built a product first with all the technological innovation that they but could not solve a significant problem for the market. Could not clear regulation in many countries. So they did not consider the environmental aspects, whether they'll be politically or legally stuck if they want to sell in different countries. Dangerous product, crashes and death. If you could Google, you'll find that the person who actually purchased the Segway had actually died because he took off on a Segway and tried to avoid something and he crashed into the into some ravine or something. So lack of hygiene factors, again, it's a dangerous product. Lack of customer feedback to improve it. So did not take customer feedback. It just created a marvel and just hope that it will be accepted by the customers. So I'll quickly go on through top reasons of why product strategies fail. First is ignorance of the need or underestimating the importance of a product strategy. And as I said, jumping, for example, knowledge of what product strategy entails. You do not, you think that product strategy is a roadmap or product strategy is a business strategy or it's just goals. That is where the confusion arises and you do not effectively create a product strategy. you do not have any product or business goals to work towards. So you just create features and just launch it in the market without knowing that it will impact your product goals or business goals, if at all they are set. Solving for problems that won't create delight or differentiation, assuming they satisfy at least the hygiene needs. So if you create a product strategy and say you do not differentiate, and differentiate does not mean just innovative features, you can differentiate using cost as well. For example, if you want to differentiate using cost, say you have a Fitbit, and you remove a costly hardware component out of it and ensure that the same functionality can be done using software. So your overall costs are reduced, but you are still differentiating from the market. Reluctance in taking a data-informed decision on focusing on a few top priorities. Then lack of internal machinery to obtain insights. So you need to create an internal machinery which will generate these insights. Now, if you do not have these insights, you cannot take the decisions, basically. Focus on delivering outputs over outcomes. So you just deliver features, capabilities, create feature factories one after another, wherein with a few set of features, you can deliver the same outcome. Lack of validation of decisions made. Now, I told you that product strategy is decisions and actions, but these decisions are based on some assumptions or some hypothesis that is still needs to be validated. And I will look at when we create the product strategy. Product strategy that is focused solely on the current goals. You do not look ahead. You aggressively focus on the current set of goals, and you do not see that to reach a vision, there might be some other goals which might be possible to be achieved going forward, and not actively monitoring the progress towards desired outcomes. You have delivered the feature, you have launched it, but you are not monitoring the progress towards desired outcome. It's maybe you do not have those goals set, or maybe you have goals set, but you are then worried about what is the next feature you want to deliver, and you do not actively monitor that. So that is also important. And these are the top reasons why some of the product strategies fail and cause a disaster for the business and the product in the organization. So what I'll do is I'll pause here for a minute to see if there are any questions.
Aju has raised his hand. We'll start with that question, Nilesh. Aju, go ahead and ask a question. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, I
Aju, we can't hear you.
Please continue.
Okay, so this question is from Murli.
Okay.
When a startup wants to strategize business, how do product managers set the benchmarks for the goal? Example, 20% by year end.
Okay, so product managers are involved, should ideally be involved in creation of business goals, but it mostly so happens that these business goals are cascaded top down, and we'll look at something called as OKRs, which are not used by a lot of startups, I believe, but some startups have started to adopt OKRs. But these business goals are something which are for now just top down and not aligned. That is what I've seen in most business organizations. Now, how do you create business goals? There is something, and we'll discuss when we create the product strategies, there is something called as business vision as well. Along with product vision, you know where your product wants to go. Similarly, you will have a business vision and where your business wants to reach overall. And between that vision and your current state, you will have intermediate business goals. Okay. And we'll discuss some examples of business goals. So these business goals and business goals for your business to reach the business vision and product goals to reach your product vision are created. Was the question as to how are they created? Was that the question here?
Yes, I believe so. It's there in the Q&A window if you can look at it. It's the second question by Murli.
Somehow not able to. Second question. Okay. Okay, when a startup starts the business, how does product manager set the benchmark to reach the goal? Example, so it was not business goal that you were mentioning. So 20% by the end, you'll have to clarify whether it's a business goal or a product goal. So just 20% by the year end, you do not have a metric here. So product has different metrics, business has different metrics. But if the question is general, saying that how do product managers set benchmarks, it's depending on what the vision is Okay, and I'll give examples going ahead as to how to actually set a business goal. But it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on how other companies in the industry are setting their targets, and these might be publicly available or obtained through informal sources, say vendors and so on. There might be internal company products. So startups might not have a lot of products, but there are internal company, large organizations have internal company products, and they have these business benchmarks saying that, hey, this product has reached this within a period of say 3 years. Let's try to use the same benchmark and set up business goals for this product. Let's see if your business environment suits to help the new product achieve the business goal and so on. So these benchmarks are either based on heuristics. A lot of business professionals use heuristics, use trial and error and so on. There are some which use company benchmarks. There are some which use industry benchmarks and so on. So there's no one right answer, but yeah, there are a lot of ways to set business goals or product goals.
Hopefully, I hope that answers your question. Please let us know in the comment section.
And let's go ahead and discuss this when we come to the goals part.
Okay, so okay, then we'll take the OKR questions till later then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is another comment from Padma Kumar about Segway. Wasn't it a case of product that solved an important problem, convenient urban mobility, that failed due to engineering and commercial issues? A related question to that is, at what point do you create a product strategy for a new to the world product, essentially an invention such as Segway?
Okay, I was stuck on the first question, so let me answer that question first.
Sure.
Is that there are too many? So
it's in the Q&A window by Padma Kumar.
By sorry, whom?
The fifth one.
Okay. Okay, I'm unfortunately not able to. Can you separate those two questions? What was the first question? Was it a product?
About Segway, wasn't it a case of a product that solved an important problem, convenient urban mobility, that failed due to engineering and commercial issues?
Convenient urban mobility, yes, it solved a problem, but for whom? Do you think there was a particular target market that Segway was focusing on when they released that particular? So you can create any sort of, it's like basically there's a saying wherein if you are targeting everyone, you're basically targeting no one. Okay, so there might be multiple use cases that Segway can be helpful in. For example, traveling on an airport from one terminal to another terminal and so on. Was at that point of time Segway focusing on a particular use case? Yes, there's a very generic need that everyone wants to travel. Why will they select Segway? Say you might also have something like a bounce that you have. You can go conveniently there. Whom is that Segway targeting was something, and what use case it was targeting. Okay, Segway being solving a need of mobility or just for fun is fine, but will users pay the price of $1,500 just to do that? Why will I spend $1,500 when I can actually do that place to place closer hyper local transition from one place to another in an easy manner, or even walk? It's $1,500 you won't spend just for fun, right? So that is one. What was the other question?
The other part was, at what point do you create a product strategy for a new to the world product, essentially an invention such as Segway?
At what point do you create the strategy? You need to create a strategy right at the development phase and not just introduction or growth phase. And we'll cover this in the topic of APS dependencies, wherein what things you should focus on when you either introduce a brand new invention, or whether you enters or what has to be done at say a development phase or a growth phase or a maturity phase or a saturation phase. So product strategy needs to be created right from the start, wherein you actually conceptualize what is the solution that you're providing. So if I could quickly highlight, in the development phase, you're focusing on a problem solution fit. This is the target market, this is the problem they are facing, and this is the solution I'll provide. I don't know what is the manifestation of that solution, which is the actual product, but I have a problem. I want to create a solution. and ensure that the solution solves some core use cases or core problems of a set of customers. At that very point, you have to start creating a product strategy. If you started very late, your product does not. So every stage of your product life cycle has some goals. You want to, first stage is your development, wherein you have to achieve your product problem solution fit. In the stage of introduction, you have to before growth, you have to achieve product market fit and so on. So these are the goals you need to achieve, and to achieve those goals, you need to create product strategy at every stage of your product life cycle. Be it a startup, be it an enterprise organization, it doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you, Padma Kumar, for that question. Yes, and let us know if that answers your query. And I encourage the audience to come online and ask a question, so there's much clarity in what you're asking. So you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. For now, I think we'll move on to the next part. We'll take the questions a little later.
Yeah, let's move on. I'll quickly cover this. Now, once we have seen what is strategy and what is product strategy, let's see why should your product strategy be actionable. Now, for that question, I have a counter question. Now, how do you know whether the product strategy you have created is moving your product towards your product vision while achieving the business goals? Now, you can see that a lot of books, a lot of articles just mention that there is a strategic, your product strategy canvas, wherein you fill who is the market, who are the competitors, what are the channels, and so on. This, although might be useful to gain insights, but this does not tell you whether you are on the right track to achieve product vision. Okay, and that is the very reason why I sort of promote a product strategy to be actionable. Okay, product strategy by default should be actionable, but the fact that the actionable part is missing from a lot of product strategies is why I'm promoting the fact that you need an actionable product strategy. And let's see why we need it. In one word, in two words, it is to reduce uncertainty. You don't know whether you're going towards the product vision. You don't know whether you're achieving your business and product goals and so on. So to reduce an uncertainty, you need your product strategy to be actionable. Now let's see what actionable means. You should have clear metrics, targets, and timelines. So you should have a clarity on what it means when we say your business and product have achieved its outcomes at the end execution of the strategy. Should be very clear right from the start while creating the strategy that these are the metrics I'm targeting, these are the targets, and these are the timelines by which I want to ensure that I reach those targets. Contribution. Now you could have seen that there are decisions, which are opportunities that I highlighted, and there are actions. Now, although I have highlighted a high level product goal and a business goal, I do not want to keep it at a high level. Say, I do not want to have increased revenue by 20% at the end of the year. I want to ensure that all the initiatives that I'm taking, or all the actions that I'm taking, say I'm taking action 1, action 2, action 3, how much is the contribution of action 1 towards the product goal and the business goal? What is the contribution of action 2 towards those goals, and so on? So not just a high level metrics, target, and timeline, but individual contribution. Okay, or all these decisions. What this internally does is it helps you eliminate and prioritize. Say you have an action 1 which says that it is not going to help me reach my goal, I'll eliminate it. And those who where there are actions which can be possibly taken, I'll prioritize them so that I have maximum impact and maximum probability to reach the final product and business goals. Finally, apart from your decisions, you need to have actions. That is what product initiative you are taking to solve the problem. And by action, again, I'm specifying, it does not mean that I prescribe saying that the engineering team should build this, or the other cross-functional stakeholders like your marketing should market it this way, and so on. It is just high-level product initiatives, which are actions to solve some opportunities, which are the decisions. And finally, validation and measurement. You, in order to reduce that uncertainty, say you decide that I'm going to pursue this opportunity, but there are a lot of hypotheses that need to be validated. There are a lot of assumptions that need to be researched. There are a lot of risks that need to be taken care of. And this validation needs to happen. And once the strategy goes into execution, you have to continuously measure. There needs to be evaluation cycle, whether you are on track to achieve your goals or not. If you're not, you reevaluate the strategy and say, gain more insights, gain more opportunities, and put them on track. Because if you wait till the end of the product strategy cycle, you might end up not achieving your goals. So that is the whole spectrum of actionable product strategy that I'm talking about. And I'll tell you why this works. And a lot of organizations, successful organizations, use this strategy. Is it is complete clarity on what decisions are taken. Now, decisions are very important because you create a clear segregation saying that I will pursue this and I will not pursue this. So it's clear that I'm not going to take this opportunity. So that not part is very important in while creating a product strategy. Broaden perspective to short and long-term outcomes. Now, there, if you have excessive focus on satisfying your immediate goal, be it business goal or a product goal, you end up with a very narrow focus, or what I call it as myopia, wherein you don't know what is the next set of opportunities that I'm going to take. So there might be a big opportunity. Say I introduce artificial intelligence capabilities in my product. They are not going to be covered in the single strategy cycle. Okay, but they are going to at the end help me reach the vision, and it may impact my long-term business goals. So your focus should not be just on your short-term goals, but also the long-term outcomes. Strategic alignment with business context. So every stakeholder, including the business leadership, should be aware of this strategic alignment, that whatever opportunities you have chosen are aligned to the business strategy, to the business vision, and so on. This is very important. And internal machinery, and we'll take a look at it, to generate insights. Now, these insights are not something which can come easily. So you have to set a culture, an insight-driven culture in your organization to help generate relevant insights. Perform data-informed trade-offs to distinguish opportunities. Say which is going to help me, which is not going to help me. Again, avoid excessive focus on singular goals, and I'll talk about what is singular goals, and not just one goal, but all the goals, say a mid-term goal, long-term goal, a counter metric goal, and so on. Aligning all stakeholders towards common goals, tackle problems that maximize user delight with sustainable differentiation. So that is something which you should focus on in your product strategy. Do not focus excessively on minor improvements. So going forward, you'll notice that there's something called as a North Star metric. And what organizations do is excessively focus on that North Star metric and create minor improvements to help achieve that goal. But that does not help in the long run, because your focus is again narrowed down. And strong action focused mindset to pull the plug if needed. That is what I told about in evaluate. If you evaluate that this opportunity is not working, it is not helping me achieve the goal, just pull the plug. Just say that, boss, I have invested so much, it is not helping me, I'll not pursue this opportunity any further. So it should be an action focused mindset and quick decision making. That is the context I wanted to give regarding an actionable product strategy. Since we have already taken questions, I would suggest taking them later. Let me quickly go on to the 11 frameworks that helps in creating these actionable product strategy. Now, these are the 11 frameworks. I just wanted to quickly mention these frameworks. The first is the product strategy cycle, which will help us define how do we create a product strategy. Second is a product strategy telescope. So product strategy is not an one-time task. You have to clearly evaluate, clearly understand that your goal has been achieved, what is the next product strategy, and so on. So this product strategy telescope helps you understand how do we set goals to reach towards the product vision. So it's like a telescope. Your vision is somewhere at the top of the peak, and you are using this telescope to actually see whether your product strategy is going towards the vision or not. And these first two frameworks are conceptual frameworks, so I'll quickly go through them, but these need to be understood very well. Third framework is the goals matrix. Now, what does this do? What goals do we want to achieve, and what is the current probability that we'll be achieving these goals? Fourth is the product insights sources wheel, which will help us identify what sources are present to get these insights from. Fifth is the choices matrix. So these choices are all the opportunities. And if you notice that this order is same as the order in which we've seen in the first example: the vision, the goals, the insights, the options or the choices, the decisions taken, the actions taken, and so on. The sixth one is the choice analysis. So once you have got, say, hundreds of choices, how do you narrow down it into a few choices? The decision matrix is to understand which of those narrowed down choices is something which we are going to select to be pursued. Actions is what are the product initiatives that are related to these decisions. decision validation matrix tells us whether should we pursue this opportunity or not. You have selected the opportunity, but there are certain hypotheses and assumptions that need to be validated. And that is when we do it here. Finally, once your strategy is created and you develop your product based on the strategy, you have to evaluate the performance of that strategy. And that is what is done in the performance evaluation matrix. And finally, the product strategy blueprint, which is then a canvas, which you share it with all the stakeholders and convince the business leadership that this is the product strategy we are going to take, which is similar to your canvases, which you would have seen in different articles. Moving ahead, this is probably the most important part of this presentation, which is the first framework. It is a conceptual framework, which is product strategy cycle. Now, let me quickly turn your focus onto the index here at the bottom. You can see that the dark blocks are the building blocks. The dark dotted blocks is the strategic context, and the light dotted blocks are the external input and output. So just I want the audience to focus majorly for 5 minutes on this particular study cycle, because this is going to be the crux of what we are going to discuss later. So goals are the business and the product goals that you want to achieve. That's the first block. Your insights are different insights that you receive from various sources. And we get to some examples as to what these insights are. Now, once you have these insights, you have to check whether they align with your goal or not. Okay. And you then, based on these insights, you come up with something called as opportunities or your choices. Now, as I said, there are hundreds of choices. So you need to eliminate a few. That is where you do a trade-off. So there is something called as a goal alignment and a strategic alignment that will help you in that trade-off. Once the trade-off is done, you finally come on to the decisions. That is, these are the selected opportunities. Then you go on to actions, that these decisions will be executed with these product initiatives. Finally, before executing, you'll validate that. Once that is validated, your strategy execution piece starts. And that is when you finally evaluate it. And there are some insights that you can bring back to your insights block. So this is the complete cycle of your building blocks. And we'll discuss these building blocks going further. There are some things I wanted to highlight here. Now let's focus on the strategic context. So you can see the strategic context here being business vision and product vision, which drives your business and product goals. In one of the answers, I had mentioned that how those goals are set. These are set from your product vision and business vision. Now, these goals are also impacted by something called as, you can see, a business strategy, innovation strategy, and business model. Okay. And the third thing, which is the strategic context, is your other cross-functional strategies. So your product strategy is not created in isolation. It has to match what the marketing strategy is created, how the sales strategy is created. You create a product, but your marketing cannot basically help reach the audience, or your sales cannot sell that product. Then there's no use in creating this product strategy. It should clearly align. That is where the coherent actions was mentioned by Professor Richard Rummel, that they should be coherent. They should be not product actions. They should be actions which are coherent across all the functions. Those are the things I wanted to highlight in the strategic context. And then I'll go on to these arrows later. And there are some external and inputs and outputs. So there are, if you can see the sources, that is when you get insights from. So you can get from market and customers, you can get from micro and macro. Micro is the industry and macro is the broader environment. Okay, it can be political, legal, environmental, social, and so on. Your company and products, and finally your technology and domain. So these are the sources which feed these insights. So once and the other inputs for these insights are, you can see this business strategy. It provides input to the insights. Now, what will business strategy provide as insights? And we'll quickly look onto it later. Is what is the target market? For example, say you are targeting working professionals now. Okay, but your business strategy says that, hey, our working professional market is sufficiently saturated now. Let's target something else. Okay, So that will come in your business strategy, and that will flow as insights into your product strategy, because you're targeting a new set of new market and new set of target segments inside that market. So that is the input which it receives. Your goals will provide some inputs here. And the last thing is feedback. So once you evaluate your product strategy, there are some feedbacks that you get in the form of insights. Say this product strategy has not, this opportunity was not working well because of some insights that we realized later on after we created the product strategy. So that will also come as feedback to these insights. Now going further, what happens is you come to choices, which, as I said, is an input from goals and insights. And these choices are something which are also take input from previous decisions. Now, what are these previous decisions? I'll just mention to you what previous decisions are. You can see that these decisions also come as decisions across horizons. So say you have created a product strategy now, and your product strategy, you have achieved your outcomes, immediate outcomes, but there are some opportunities that are long-term, which I mentioned, say an AI capability, which takes a lot of time. Okay. So the decisions of previous product strategy, which are not complete, they have achieved certain amount of business outcomes because it is long-term, but not complete. They also come as previous decisions as choices. Why they come again as choices? Do you think that it is sufficiently helping us to reach our vision? Will AI capability actually help? You have to reevaluate it at each and every decision cycle. So that is where the previous decisions come from. I'll highlight what strategic bunker is in the next slide. So suppose that you go on to select all the choices, you go on to trade-offs. There is something called as goal alignment and a strategic alignment, and which receives input also from business strategy. Then you go on to decisions, actions, validate, and so on. So for your final product strategy, which is mentioned to all your stakeholders, is finally the decisions and actions that you take. Now, you can see this line coming down from the trade-offs to the strategy bunker. Now, these are opportunities that you either postpone, saying that I think the market is not ready for this opportunity. Even if we execute this opportunity, there's a high chance that it might not get adopted. So you postpone it. You do not discard it. That is where it goes to a strategy bunker, which can be then used to highlight, say, more choices in the next cycle. And there are some opportunities that you clearly say that they are not for our target market. Let's discard them. That is when you pull those out and put it in the discarded opportunities. So that explains the whole product strategy cycle, which will be deriving later. And the cadence guidelines, you have to have some guidelines saying that you create it every 6 months or every year, and you evaluate every 1 month or 3 months. And this changes based on your stage of the company, your risk appetite, and so on. So there are a lot of things, market changes, the evaluation cycle and creation cycle differs. So this is the first framework, which is conceptual. This is the second framework, which is also conceptual. You can see that I've expanded on that cycle. Here you can see that you are in the current state. You want to reach the desired state. You also have a next desired state and then a product vision. So you can see that your current state is expanding, and there are some things that are helping you reach your desired state. And in your desired state, what you're doing is you are achieving some short-term business goals and short-term product goals. When you go further, you will achieve some mid-term business goals and mid-term product goals, and so on. Now, what happens is, and this might be pretty clear, is that the insights that we discussed in the previous get selected as choices. They go down this funnel. There's a trade-off of strategic alignment and goal alignment. They come down, either they go onto a strategy bunker where you postpone the opportunities, or they get discarded because you do not think they are relevant to you. And then the chosen opportunities go down. Now, these opportunities, as I said, are not opportunities which are restricted to one cycle. So the cycle which I was talking about is going from current state to desired state. Next time, this desired state becomes a current state wherein you achieve the business goal and the product goals, and your next desired state becomes the desired state now. And this cycle is what goes through something called as a strategic horizon that I have mentioned. Now, I just wanted to highlight something called as opportunity buckets. So not all opportunities that you have selected should lead to an outcome which is immediately met in the desired state. For example, the AI capabilities that I mentioned. So I've divided these into some opportunity buckets, which are the fundamentals, the needle movers, the big bets, and the moonshots. Fundamentals are something that help you retain or maintain your current state in a good manner. You do not go back. Say if you something like a tech debt or something of that sort will hold you possibly back and not help you achieve the next set of goals. Needle movers is what will help you achieve, go from your current state to a desired state. Your big bets is something which is used for your midterm, and your moonshots is something which goes for the long term. So I hope this is clear, the product strategy telescope and how the strategy cycle is set across different strategic horizons. Moving further, going on to the first block, you can see that this block is mentioned here at the top. So those strategic building blocks, I'll keep on mentioning here. Now I'll quickly mention with an example going forward, what are these goals? Say you have a product vision, you derive product goals from that. You have business vision, you derive business goals from that. Now you have to achieve both. You have to achieve your product goal and the business goals, but they might be going in a different direction. So you have to find some common metric or a common goal which has a high correlation between both these product goals and business goals, which will help us move both these forward, but it will help us to do so using a single metric. And these product goals and business goals are actually lagging indicators. That is, you know the progress only when the progress, when the situation has taken place. North Star metric, on the other hand, which has a high correlation with these, is a leading indicator. Say if the North Star metric is achieved, there is a high likelihood that your product goals and business goals are achieved, and so on. And you do that for your every product strategy cycle, from a North Star metric to a midterm North Star metric and a long-term North Star metric, and this will help you achieve the final business vision and the product vision. So these are the goal relations that I wanted to highlight. And how do you define a goal? Goal is an action verb, say increase, metric, say revenue, target, say by 20%, and timeline is say by end of the year. Now let's take an example of an app. Say I have a product which is a weight reduction app. So what I do in this product is whoever downloads this app and subscribes to my app, they get live sessions. Okay, they might be yoga sessions, they might be Zumba sessions, and so on, by a trained set of experts that will help you. And this app promises that it will help with your weight reduction. So what is your product goal here? Okay, your product goal is, I want to, as a user, achieve user weight reduction of 3% and an average by the year end. So there are multiple users who have subscribed. I want to achieve an average user weight reduction of 3% by the year end. Say that is my product goal. Similarly, I have a business goal. You can set a midterm, long-term goal also by looking at what your business vision is. And how do you set those goals? As someone asked, heuristics, benchmarks, industry, company benchmarks, and so on. Say my business goal is increase your registered user base by 20% by the end of the year. Now I want to introduce a concept of empirical equations. So this high correlation, which I mentioned here, there is no straight equation that you say that your product goal is some function of your North Star metric, or your business goal is some function of your North Star metric. It is very difficult to derive that. So there is something called as empirical equations. Okay, so let's say that I arrived at a North Star metric, say that if people attend consecutive weight reduction sessions, then there's a high chance that my weight reduction goal will be achieved, which is a product goal. And if users who are using this app notice the weight reduction, they might recommend to other family members or other acquaintances, and that will increase my registered user base. And this is not something which is random. This I have obtained through something called as empirical equations. Say I have noticed over a period of time that consecutive sessions attended, my weight reduction achieved is this, which has a say 94% positive correlation. Say I've attended 5 sessions, 7 sessions, my referral chances increased by 50% and advocacy chances increased by 10% and so on. So there's a 99% correlation. So from this data that I have achieved, and this data is initially difficult to get when your product has just started, maybe in the introduction and development phase, but you should have some sense of a North Star metric that will help you reach product goals and business goals. So there is no clear equation or a clear fundamental that I can provide you that these are the steps you need to take. But I just mentioned that there are some empirical equations you can derive, which will help you arrive at the North Star metric. For example, there's something called as magic numbers. If you have heard, Slack has a magic number of 2000 messages. So if a user reaches a point wherein it sends 2000 messages on Slack, there's a high chance of that user getting converted. Okay, that is a magic numbers that you're talking about. So this is something which is obtained through your empirical equations. Moving on, let's go to your North Star metric. Now, if you see, the North Star metric here was consecutive weight reduction sessions attended. Do you think you'll be able to create opportunities to directly achieve this consecutive weight reduction sessions? It will be very random. So what you do is you divide this North Star metric into something called as actionable metrics. Okay. Now, these actionable metrics should be MICE, which is mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Okay. And there are some dimensions which Justin Bauer from Amplitude has given. You can use breadth, depth, frequency, and efficiency. Now, for example, let's take an example of Netflix. Okay. Now, Netflix has a North Star metric that it wants to increase total watch time per user per day. Say Netflix wants to increase that watch time. Now, will Netflix be able to directly action this? Might be not. How do I define watch time? Okay, maybe it can say that I'll calculate the time per session and so on and so forth. But that might not be an effective way to. That might be just one part of that metric which is impacting the North Star metric. But there are other aspects as well which, if you try to improve, will help a better improvement of the North Star metric. For example, let me see the total watch time. I can say that it is total and don't go with averages and things like that. Say total watch time of Netflix per day is number of users watching. Now they may be trial users and they may be subscribers and so on, multiplied by, say, total watch time. Now the total watch time, again, I can divide into number of sessions per user and time per session. So you multiplied that by number of watchers, number of sessions per day, and time per session. Just I'm not going with averages and so on. Now the time per session, you have to notice that the time is not just the session time. Your watch time is some percentage of that session time. For example, you'll explore, you'll search all the recommendations, but that does not count towards your watch time. The watch time is actually when you watch content on Netflix. So then you will say that your watch time is some percentage of your total time per session. So the whole equation comes as total watch time per day for Netflix equals number of watchers into number of sessions per day into number of time per session into percentage of time of that session, which is the watch time, which excludes the search time and so on. So this is how you basically divide. Now it is easy for me to increase the number of sessions per user. It is easy for me to increase the number of users. Say I run some promotional campaigns and I increase the number of users. It will finally impact my North Star metric. But I am breaking this down into multiple actionable metrics so that I'm able to effectively impact the North Star metric. And how does this North Star metric affect the product strategy? You take some decisions, which leads to some actions. Now these actions that you take will impact those actionable metrics, and in turn will impact North Star metric, which in turn will impact your product goal and your business goal. So that is what I've tried to highlight here. And you can see that I can then further divide that actionable metric by user persona 1, user persona 2, user persona 3, and give them targets. So for example, I can, if I want to achieve North Star metric, say how much was that? If I could go back, say the goal was to reach maximum 8 consecutive sessions in 9 months on average. Say to reach that 8 sessions, I give some metric number, say I want so many users or watchers on Netflix so that I can achieve that goal. I need to increase the session time by so much to achieve that goal. I need to increase that percentage watch time by so much to reach that goal, and so on. And you can do it by user personas. For example, you can separate it by trial subscribers. You can separate it by converted subscribers, and so on. And finally, you come to something called as a matrix. I do not want to go a lot in detail because it is too much in depth. So what you do is you list all your business goals, you list all your product goals, you list all your North Star goals, and there is something called as counter goals, which I wanted to mention. Now you can see that this is an average, say average consecutive weight reduction sessions. Now I can impact the average by reducing the denominator. That will improve my average. But I have to ensure that the denominator also does not decrease and the numerator increases significantly. So that denominator becomes my counter metric. So what counter metric does is ensures that your North Star metric is achieved, but by the right means. And finally, you then create your actionable goals, and have maybe later on, once you get the video, you can check how I have created the metrics, how I've decided the current state. So every metric will have your current state. As we said, you had in the first example, we had a timeliness score, we had a cost effectiveness score, we have an experience score. Similarly, you have a measure for your current state. Where do you want to reach the desired state? What is the expected change? What are trends? What is the probability that you'll be able to reach this particular goal, and so on. Now, there are also medium-term and long-term goals. These are not mandatory. At least the short-term goals should be provided in this goals matrix. But it is better if you also have these goals and goals listed in this matrix. So that is the goals matrix. Let me quickly go. So we covered the first block, which is the goals. Now let us go on to a slight detour and cover something called as context. Okay. Now, what is product context? Product context is something which you create as a base to create a product strategy. For example, you have recently joined as a product manager in a certain organization, and say you are given the job of creating a product strategy. Okay. Where do I start? I need the information as to what is the overall context of the product, what is the current state of the product, and then you'll be able to create the next product strategy. So what are the requisites of this product context? Who is your buyer or a user? There's a difference there. Okay, one example I've given is, say a working of the weight reduction app, a working professional is buying that app subscription for himself or herself, but another person or a health conscious user is purchasing it as a gift for her parents. So here your buyer is not the same as user. So you have to ensure that your product caters not only to your user, but also to your buyer. And it does not have to be only the job of your promotion and marketing. Your product can also have the right set of interventions for the buyer who maybe tries the product first before making the buying decision, to influence the overall conversion and so on. So these are some of users I have mentioned: the working professionals, housewives, someone with an obesity related condition. The second is the value drivers. So problems is something which is very narrow. I have replaced it with a term called as value drivers. So value drivers are everything like pain points, needs, wants, desires, jobs to be done, demands, aspirations, frustrations, motivations, so on. And they can be functional, emotional, and social. For example, for working professionals, I want to reduce weight without spending a lot of time, or I want to learn sustainable weight reduction techniques, or I want to track weight loss, and so on. So these are the problems or the value drivers which are relevant to this product. What are the capabilities to solve these value drivers? What are the capabilities? Say you have weight analytics, you have personalized consultation, and so on. So one point I wanted to mention is there should be a clear distinction between a capability, functionality, and a feature. Okay. Capability is a high level capability, say weight analytics. Your functionality is to be able to generate a certain part, say bone density. Okay. To analyze the bone density. Features is, say I can download the chart of bone density, or I can change the duration. For example, I can change it for the last 1 year or last 2 years, and so on. So that is the actual feature basically. So your capability is weight analytics, your functionality is analytics for bone density, and your feature is the ability to download, the ability to export, ability to view by timeline, and so on. What is your product? Your product is the actual manifestation of the solution of these capabilities. What is it? It's a mobile app, say it's a weight tracking device like a Fitbit, or it's a face-to-face consultation. So it might be a product or service. What is your value proposition? Say your value proposition is convenience, sustainability of weight loss, healthy way to lose weight, not starving or compromising with taste, and so on. What industry are you in? whether it's a monopolistic competition, whether it's a oligopoly, duopoly, and something which we'll check later, who are your direct competitors who provide these services by an app? Say MyFitnessPal is a competitor. Who are your indirect competitors? Say weight loss supplements, your obesity experts, your liposuction and other fat reduction techniques. What are the substitutes? Say I go to gym and I reduce weight, I fast and I reduce weight, I walk and I reduce weight, and so on. And then you have to also mention how is this product different from all these direct, indirect, and substitutes. Finally, value delivery and capture. What are your distribution channels? What are your sales and marketing channels? Who are your partners? What is your revenue model? Say you offer a flat monthly subscription fee for the app, or you sell at a flat fee that weight tracking device, or you give a volume-based pricing for your face-to-face consultations, and so on. And finally, what is your current product strategy? So for your next product strategy, you need to understand what is your current product strategy. So what are your decisions? Where are you on the PDLC stage, say a growth stage or maturity stage, and what are the actions? So this, I'm not going deep diving into this, but this is the context which you need before you start creating a product strategy. The next thing I mentioned is the strategic context. As I said earlier, you have to work within the boundary of the strategic context. You cannot create a non-biodegradable product wherein your business wants an environment-friendly product. So there are some aspects called as company mission, company vision, company values, company goals, or your business goals. So it depends whether it's company or a business based on whether you're a startup or a mid-size organization or an enterprise. What is your business strategy and business model? What is your product scorecard? So what is your business and product scorecard at this point in time? What is your product mission, vision, and principles? I'll provide this slide deck later, and hence I'm not going through it. But in summary, what you have to understand is you have to create a product context to create a base, and you have to create a strategic context so that you work within the boundaries of your business environment. And I want to particularly highlight something called as business strategy, because we discussed that there's a significant difference between a business strategy and a product strategy. And that is why I want to highlight on the middle section here and elaborate a bit in the next set of slides. Now, what is business strategy? But before going to what is business strategy, let me just highlight how business strategy, business model, and product strategy works. So can you see the top right? There is something called as previous business model. So your previous business model, which is what market are you targeting? How are you reaching that? What capabilities are you providing? How are you generating revenue? What are your cost factors, and so on? That affects your business strategy. From business strategy, you create your next set of next product strategy. Now, once you execute this product strategy, say your business strategy is that I want to enter a new market. Okay, say from working professionals, I want to enter housewife market. Okay, your product strategy will create your product which will suit the needs of housewives. And then your business model will get automatically updated, wherein your customer base will not just include your working professionals, but will add your housewives as a target market. And then this loop goes on. Say again, you go to again, you have saturated your housewife market, you go into some other market, again, you create a new business strategy and you create a new product strategy, and so on. So just wanted to highlight two frameworks here, which we use to create a business strategy, a strategy choice cascade, which is provided by in the book Playing to Win by A.G. Lafley that I discussed earlier, and something called as a strategy diamond. Okay. Now, without spending a lot of time here, I'll just mention all the components. So all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever numbers are written are there in the first column. Okay. Now, to actually create a business strategy, and this is something apart from product strategy that I'm highlighting here, there are multiple frameworks. Okay. Let me quickly go to the component ones before going on to frameworks. So business strategy is this. Okay. Clearly, what are your winning aspirations? What are your business goals? Where do you want to play? Which target market you want to play? Segway did not have a target market. It was just a solution to start with. Then they explored target markets, but to start with, they just launched it in the market. How to win? If you do not decide who your target market is, who you're targeting, you don't know how to win, because your competitors might already be serving the target market. Segway might already have some kind of a scooter that can be used to travel. serving the same segment, and I can rent that scooter instead of purchasing a $1,500 Segway. So if you don't know, and maybe it's a price sensitive market, if we're traveling say for 10 minutes, why will I purchase a Segway, for example? So how to win? How will I win in the target market, considering that there is a lot of competition already? If it is a monopoly, you're very lucky. If it is not, you have to decide how to win. Vehicles, how to get there, basically. I know where I'm going to play. I know how I want to win, but how will I get there? For example, some company has already created the product and the technology. Can I buy? Do I have the capital to buy it instead of wasting time or spending time providing that capability to the target market? And can I win using that? Staging. Now the staging is what is the actions here. So so again, I'm trying to mention that strategy in general is your goals, decisions, and actions. Again, going back to the first slide. So your goals are here at the top. Your decisions are where to play, how to win, how will you get there. And finally, it is staging, which is what is the sequence of moves? What are the stages you will be doing that in? And there's also economic logic. You have to understand whether whatever you're doing is going to give returns or not. And what do you have? The last one is capabilities and management systems. Do you have those capabilities and systems required to actually execute your business strategy and so on? So these are the frameworks that I have highlighted, which are used to sort of build this business strategy, but our focus is not that. Let's move on to the fourth column, which is examples. Say my winning aspiration is to build the top weight reduction business in India with high focus on customer satisfaction. So I just don't want to be in a weight reduction app. I want to build a complete business. So app is just a product. Weight reduction business is something at a higher level. Now arenas, where do I play? Say I'm done with working professionals. I'm done with housewives. Now I want to target people who are suffering from weight related diseases, say hypertension, say diabetes, and so on. So if I target that market, there is a high chance that I might be able to provide value to them, as well as those people who are already weight-related disease ridden, who are spending tons of money in hospitals and medicines. Maybe they'll pay me and also benefit from that, and so on. So that is my business strategy. Where do I want to play? What target market do I want to hire? Now, how do I do that? So there is something called as market segments here. If you see the third column, and the third line is product categories. Say I'll keep my app. I'll improve my app in such a way that it also caters to weight related diseases. But what I will do is I will include high technologies such as weight loss techniques, such as ultrasound melting, cryotherapy, that is freezing your fat. I can also include products such as digestion mimicking pills, workout in a bottle, and so on. So these are some of the product categories that I can look at going forward. But you are a product manager of a weight reduction app. Maybe these other things can come as a separate product lines, or they can be combined in the same app. That is the decision that needs to be done in your product strategy. Whether you want to create a same app, say you will build an e-commerce platform on the same app, which will sell your digestion mimicking pills. You'll also provide service on the same app saying that, hey, your cryotherapy appointment is at this date, please go and visit the clinic, and so on. So this is just an example of how the third column, which is the example that I've shown, impacts your product strategy. So you can see that you have to create, if it is in the same app, you can see that you have to create specialized weight reduction modules for your market. You have to onboard those weight related disease users. You have to personalize for, say, individualized disease needs. For example, hypertension, you create a separate package for experts. Say for diabetes, you have a separate package. All this comes in your product strategy. Say you create a transaction service for booking appointments for your cryotherapy, ultrasound melting, and so on. You also create an e-commerce platform which helps you sell these digestion mimicking pills and workout in a bottle. So that is endless, basically. So all the inputs that you have to have for your product strategy have to come within the realm of your business strategy. And that is where in the product strategy cycle diagram, you see that there is an input to your insights from the business strategy. I'll not go here in detail. So once you execute your product strategy in accordance with the business strategy, you can see that I have refilled this business model canvas. Okay. So what I've done is I've made additions or modifications to the business model. So along with if you see the customer segments section, along with my urban consumers, along with the original working professionals and housewives, I've added urban consumers with weight-related diseases. I have introduced separate channels. Say one channel is your clinics who will deliver those cryotherapy and other services. Delivery of physical products. I need to have a mechanism to get these pills delivered to the customers and so on. And say I have to create separate disease-specific treatment packages and so on in the value proposition. I'm not going through the complete canvas, but I just wanted to give you a sense of how business strategy impacts product strategy, and then product strategy once executed will change your business model, which serves as an input again to your business strategy in the next cycle. This point was very important, and this is not mentioned in any of the materials floating around. So just wanted to highlight this because this is actually how you create product strategy, and not in isolation, not just filling a canvas. This is how you get inputs from your strategic context to actually build your product strategy. There is something called as innovation strategy, but I'm thinking that I'll just skip this part for now. Just wanted to highlight here, how does your innovation strategy impact product strategy? So you will have multiple business opportunities. If you could see the right bottom column, you will have something called as business opportunities that goes across the buckets that we discussed in the telescope, which is the fundamentals, which ensures that you are at least at the same level. The needle movers, which will take you to the next immediate goal. The big bets, which is the next set of goals, and moonshots, which is the long-term goal. Now, to solve that, you will have a lot of business opportunities that you get from the business strategy. But what innovation strategy does, it restricts all the business strategy based on what is your innovation mindset. Now, this innovation mindset is impacted by a lot of factors called as innovation drivers. Now, how defined is your problem? How defined is your domain? What is the total market impact you're looking at? Are you looking at a specific set of customers? For example, the disease related example that I gave, maybe I want to restrict those cryotherapy and sessions only for rich customers or high income customers, because I think that they are the ones looking for immediate fix on their weight, and maybe I can charge them a premium. So is it impacting a large market? No, it's impacting very small market. Is it a new technology? Yes. Cryotherapy and the other technologies, digestion mimicking pills, are not very prevalent. It's a new technology. Have we changed the business model? Yes. The overall business model, especially in terms of revenue model, has changed because we have now diversified revenue streams. We have a subscription for your app. We have a product selling on your e-commerce, that is the pills and all. You get revenue from that. You can also use commission-based model. Say you have this cryotherapy sessions which someone else is conducting. You can say that I'll provide you with customers. You give me certain commission. So your business model has completely changed. It was a subscription, but you have, based on your business strategy, you have diversified into a subscription come commission come flat revenue sort of a model. Are there different customer value impacts that you're looking at? Is brand positioning something that you're looking at? So there are various innovation drivers that you should look at, and various ambitions. So some companies might be very conservative, especially big giants. Now we can see here at the bottom, there's a leading consumer company who invests 80% in their core business, because they know that if they do something very drastic, they might lose out on a lot of revenue streams. It's a risk appetite that they're taking. So their ambition is not heavy. They are focusing most of their eggs in the core basket and some in the adjacent and the transformational basket. So core is something where you are very conservative. Adjacent is you look into different related industries and markets, and transformational is you completely disrupt your business model and business strategy. So, for example, a mid-sized technology firm, which is a bit has a risk appetite, will invest say 45% in your firm. 45% in the core ambition, 40% in the adjacent, and 15% in transformational. So I just wanted to highlight here is that business strategy should be combined with your innovation strategy, because if you don't do that, you'll find it difficult to do something which is here that I mentioned, which is how do I win? Okay, you might provide the very same set of products that your competitors provide, but you won't be able to win over there. So that is where the importance of innovation strategy comes into picture. Now let's come to the second building block. You can see there here is insights. Now goals is completed. You have defined that there is a North Star metric. You have divided it into actionable metrics. You have clear idea that these are the metrics that you are going to achieve. Now, what do I do to achieve those metrics? These come from insights. Now, what are these insights? These can come from market. These can come from customers. This can come from company, which is the strategic context. This can come from industry, which is competition, direct, indirect substitutes. You can come from product, which is the product context, or any sort of telemetry you do in your product. Say you measure the actions or clicks that had taken place on a mobile app and so on, which feature is used widely, which is not used widely, and so on. Environmental and ecosystem lens. So what is environment? Environment is basically, is there a chance that there's something in the environment that can hamper my product? For example, let's say government has taxed cryptocurrency. How will it impact my customer base? Will my customer base reduce because of the decision? Because I'm paying, my customers are paying heavy tax. Why will they invest in something like this then? Maybe. Ecosystem lens. Do I have partners? Okay. Will my partners run away to my competitors? And I don't have partners to actually serve my target segment. So on. Technology trend. Is there some technology trend that I can capitalize on? For example, augmented reality, mixed reality. Can I do something there? These are all the insights. Domain lens. For example, domain is ever changing. For example, Web 3.0. It's recent. It is ever changing. So if I create a product in Web 3.0, I'll have to also see how the domain is evolving. Okay. And how do I get all these insights? You have to do research. And whom can you do research from? What are the things that you need to gather? And how do you do it using primary and secondary research is what I've listed here. And I do not want to go too much in detail, but I want to go into some specific examples of these insights related to your weight reduction app. Now, mind you, these are only sources. These are not insights. These are the sources where you go get information from to build those insights. And now let's see what are these insights. So if you see the diagram here at the right top, you get some data, but that data is just data. Say that your number of clicks on your app is, say, 100 clicks per day, for example. Now, this does not have any context attached to it. Context in the sense it has reduced from, say, 10,000 clicks per day, all of a sudden down to, say, 1,000 clicks per day. That is what is information, where you add in context that, oh, there has been a decrease. It's not just data. Now, what is an insight? Your insight is basically what might have happened to affect this decrease. Maybe something has happened. For example, say I am Nike. Okay. All of a sudden on 10th of October, my sales have suddenly dropped. My sales were proper till the start of October. My sales have suddenly dropped. What has happened? Okay. The context is, say, Flipkart and Amazon have had big billion sales. Big billion, or that product festival, or whatever that festival is, Great Indian Festival. And a lot of customers are focusing on taking advantage of those sales, and they're not buying cosmetics or something like that. And that is why there was a decrease. So this is the insight you gathered. It's not just data that it has been decreased, or it's not just information that is a decrease from this point to this point in this period of time. It is actual insights that you can action, basically. Oh, now I have to think whether I can counter that big billion sale with, say, a Nike sale, and so on. Okay. So just wanted to explain what insights is. And there are multiple types of insights. I've written down 5 insights. There's a very, very good book, which I recommend everyone to read. The name is Seeing What Others Don't. So you basically are able to gain those insights what others can't see. So there are 5 set of insights that you can see there in the trigger here. Contradictory insights, connection insights, coincidence insights, curiosity insights, and creative desperation insights. I'll give you examples of contradictory, connection, and creative desperation, because that comprises of most of the insights that are gathered and used in product strategy. So let me give you an example of contradictory insight. Now, suppose, and this is a true example, that a person was riding a BMW, and the person stopped his BMW at one of the signals. And besides, there was a police car, a cop car, which stopped. Now, one of the cops noticed that that person was using a cigar and throwing the ashes in the BMW inside on the seats and things like that. Now, this felt strange to that cop as to why is he looks rich, he has a cigar, he has a BMW, but there's a contradiction. Why is he throwing his ashes inside the car? Why is he spoiling the car? One insight maybe he's a rich guy, he doesn't care about ashes in the car, or he might be a thief who has stolen the car and just doesn't care about what happens inside the car. So this is a contradictory insight. Your mindset was that he's just doing something in the car, he has a big cigar and so on. But this contradiction actually gained insights and helped the cop to actually remand that person who was driving the BMW. The second is a connection insights. One example of connections insight is there is a professor who won the Nobel Prize. He was working on, and these are all examples from that book that I mentioned, very interesting example. So connection insight is, there was a Nobel Prize winning professor who was at that time working on the neural system of worms. And these worms were transparent. And he was examining the neural system by killing the worms, cutting the worms and so on. What he all of a sudden in one afternoon he decided to attend a session which was not relevant to his field. Therein he noticed that a jellyfish has some kind of protein. When you put ultraviolet light on that, it glows. Now an insight came in the mind of the professor, what if I do for the same worms? And he injected that protein in those worms, and he could actually see the neural system working of those worms, and he won the Nobel Prize for that. So that is a connection insights. Two different insights he clubbed into one, two different observations he clubbed into one and created an insight. Creative desperation is the third that I want to focus on. Now, for example, there was a firefighter in one of the forests. There was a foliage and fire was coming from all directions and he was almost about to die. And what he decided was, it was a desperate situation. It's a life and death situation. What he did is he removed the foliage which was just adjacent to him in a circular fashion. And what he did is he burnt the rest of the foliage which was just away from him and giving him sufficient space. So what happened that the fire was coming in actually stopped at the point where the foliage was actually where he had burned the foliage. And in that process, he actually saved his life, because if he creatively thought as to this is possible solution or this is a possible insight that I can derive from this situation. So these are some of the very interesting examples. Please go and read the book. Now, how do they, now I'll just take one example out of these. There are a lot of examples here. Say contradictory insights. Your domain lens tells that your weight reduction is dependent on your energy balance principle. So you burn your energy, you take less food or less energy content, and you'll be able to lose weight. But from customer lens perspective, and these lenses are the lenses we discussed in this wheel. Now, from customer lens perspective, you got an insight that there was an inconsistent weight loss after even after attending successive sessions. So what was the observation? There are factors other than energy balance that impact your weight loss. And there are then we go on to derive multiple hypotheses that working professionals have irregular schedule that impacts their basal metabolism. Working professionals, even after the sessions, try to binge eat. Then working professionals don't eat the right stuff, such as lean proteins, and tend to increase their weight and so on. So the insight was working professionals need to consume the nutritious food apart from attending consecutive sessions. So attending consecutive sessions is not enough, as highlighted by the domain and the customer lens. So this was the insight. And what is the opportunity? Your opportunity is how you can help working professionals consume nutritious food without disturbing their schedule. So this is how it was a contradictory insight that in spite of your energy balance principle, you noticed something. You then you got an observation, you created hypothesis, validated it, came at an insight, and then derived an opportunity. So this is how you move from an insight to an opportunity sort of phase. And these are some of the tools that I use to create those insights. And I will quickly want to browse through it. One is the eliminate, race, reduce, create grid. This is from Blue Ocean Strategy as to what capabilities do you want to eliminate, what do you want to improve, what do you want to reduce, what do you want to create. There is a Scamper framework, if you guys are aware of. There is a opportunity scoring landscape framework wherein you check what needs are overserved, what are underserved, and what are adequately served. There's an opportunity solution tree by Teresa Torres, wherein you decide the outcome. And what we follow in this product strategy frameworks is this framework, which is the opportunity solution tree. And there are many more frameworks like fishbone diagram, brainstorming, attribute listing, twist techniques, and 6 thinking hats. So these are the frameworks that you can research and explore more to create these insights. And finally, it is important to create a culture of insights in your organization. And this is very important, primarily because insights are the crux of your opportunities and your product strategy. If you don't have the right insights, you will create something which is not relevant for your target market. So there are a few hindrances to insights at individual and organization level. Say you have flawed beliefs, you have established beliefs, but are not flexible. You have lack of experience and just rely on intuition. You have a passive stance. You do not, you got an information that, this sales are dipping. It's okay. They are dipping. They'll increase later and so on. So this is a very passive stance. You are not exploring and investigating, staying inside the box as to what has really happened. So this passive stance leads to lack of generation of insights and concrete reasoning. So we always look at perfection as to what is tangible, what is certain now, instead of sort of exploring that, this might be possibly an insight. Let's explore. It might not turn positive, but let's see. So from an individual perspective, you should be have an open mind and not restrict yourself to beliefs. And as an organization, you have to set a culture which is away from predictability. Not everything is predictable. Product strategy especially. There is a lot of times that your outcomes may not be met. Okay, there might be surprises. Looking for perfection. There should not be any errors. My customers should not face a single error and so on. So if you do not get those errors, you do not get those insights as to what are the reasons that these errors have occurred. Maybe customers are using the wrong approach, wrong workflow. Can I improve the workflow? So these insights, the perfection mindset actually stops from these insights. And there are some ways to encourage insights. I'll quickly explain these. You have to ensure that you don't strive for perfection. You have to intermingle between groups, discuss ideas, go through brainstorming workshops and so on. Take ideas from one context to some other context. Create a fluid networks which will help cross-pollination of ideas and so on. I'm not delving into it in detail, but just wanted to mention that it is important to ensure that there is an insight generation culture in every organization. Otherwise, your product strategy is impossible because you don't know what to do, what opportunities to pursue. So now let's go back to the actionable metrics that we decided in the goals part. That is the metric 1, metric 2, metric 3, metric 4. Now for each of these, you create an opportunity table. So you got to know that this is your metric. These are your users. For each user, what is the insight and what is the opportunity? So once you've derived all the insights, you map it to your user persona, and derive an opportunity out of that. As we have seen in the example of contradictory insights, you created an opportunity, say that I need to help working professionals eat nutritious food. Okay, maybe I'll add another component or another package saying that, okay, like Eat Fit, I provide nutritious food apart from my regular sessions that I conduct on app. Now there is something called as aspect, which we'll discuss later, which depends on what is the user life cycle and what activities or what actions the different users take. And once that is done, what you do is you club these opportunities. Now in opportunity table, what you have done is you have created the opportunities. Now these are many opportunities that you get. That is many choices. You have to reduce the choices. Now what happens is a single opportunity might hit multiple insights. It's like hitting one bird with 10 bullets, hitting multiple birds with a single bullet in that sense. So your opportunity clubbing that you have mentioned here is something wherein you club multiple opportunities to to solve multiple insights. So once your opportunity clubbing is done, you go into something called as a choice matrix. So these are the opportunities. These are the whole set of opportunities that you have listed. You have not made a decision yet, but this is a comprehensive set of choices. You can see that this is the choice building block that we are in now. the important thing you have to mention here is what is the problem, that what is the value driver that the choice is solving, what is the user persona that it is related to, what is the value it is generating, and you have to calculate the target impact. Now this is the most difficult part. You might say that how do I know at this point in time how much impact this particular opportunity will have on that particular metric, from where that opportunity has come from. So for that, you have to have something called as opportunity estimation, and this is done across organizations. For example, if you're starting a new product, you might have to estimate what is the revenue that you're going to generate by launching this particular project or a product. So estimations are done all everywhere, and there's a great chance that you can even estimate these opportunities. So there are multiple ways to estimate the opportunities. You can market size. There is a triangulation method. You have top-down, bottom-up resource constraints. You can have internal data sources. Say you have a different product in your company. Check what are the sales. What are various insights that have. Do you have sales experts who will give you information? Do you run experiments? For example, do you run A/B test? Do you get some information from there? You have industry benchmarks. You have forecasting techniques, say time series, causal methods, and so on. You can buy market research data. You have gardeners, foresters, and so on. You can buy data from there. You can do your own customer research. You can do a focus group. You can do interviews. You can do surveys, and so on. And this is where you will be able to estimate your opportunities. Now let's take just one example. How do you estimate usage? Okay, you ensure that what is the possible target base I'm targeting here. So you have a customer base currently. Say only 50% of these users will be able to serve using this opportunity. So and this is a rough estimate. There is nothing certain here. You have to validate it later, but this is a rough estimate. Now, out of the target base, how many users have shown interest during the interviews? Say you have interviewed a sample. Say your 10% has shown interest. You adjust it to the population, your overall target base. Then you find out how many users have adopted similar capabilities in the past, which will give you more insights that there's a likelihood that this new opportunity can also be adopted. And then you also keep on ensuring that you know how this customer base will increase. So which is 1 plus your percentage increase in your customer or user growth. So this is how you estimate the size of that opportunity and how much impact it will have on the metric that it came from. So this is a metric. These are the opportunities that it came from, and this is the target impact. Once that is done, you go on to something called as one important thing is what you do here is the goal alignment. So based on how much impact your your opportunity has, you basically create a score for that. Say it will have 70% impact, you give a score of 7 and so on. So you need to have an objective way of mentioning how much aligned is it to the North Star metric. Once that is done, just goal alignment is not sufficient. You have to align it to your overall strategic context. That is what is strategic alignment. Now, there are 4 dimensions of strategic alignment. Whether the opportunity is important, it is real, is it real? And the facets you have to investigate are, is it a real market? Is it the real customer need? Can we win? How is the industry? How is the company? Whether the company does have capabilities and resources or not? How is the product? Can I use some capabilities from some adjacent products and use it? Is it worth it? If I invest capital in it, will I get a certain returns or not? And whether it is compliant to my overall business, and if there are standards. For example, a health product will have some standards they want to look at. For example, data sharing, GDPR standards. Is it aligning to that? So these are the dimensions you need to ensure that it is aligned, and you have to finally give an alignment score based on whatever you rate for each of these 4 dimensions. And I've mentioned all the factors that you need to consider here, but they differ by industry. So I've just given some examples here. And what I want the audience to do is not to get deep into what it is, but understand the whole essence of what is happening here. So what you did is you've got a lot of opportunities, but now you have to eliminate certain opportunities. Why do you eliminate it? Maybe it is not achieving your goal. That is the goal alignment part. Maybe it is not strategically aligned. That is a strategic alignment part. And you reduce the whole funnel into a few opportunities. that is where this decision matrix comes into picture. So in this decision matrix, you finally decide whether you want to pursue that opportunity, whether you want to postpone that opportunity and put it in your strategy bunker, or you want to pull out that opportunity. Okay. And what I've done here is I've taken the goal alignment score, your strategic alignment score, and created a average final alignment score. And there's something called as a success probability. Okay. These two are the factors which will decide whether your decision is to pursue, postpone, or pull out. Okay. So, and you can use any combination, say if your score is say 7 and your success probability is say 80%, which is dependent on desirability, usability, feasibility, viability, and validity, you will finally accept the decision. And you can also, one thing you need to include is your assumptions and risk, and what are the hypotheses you still need to validate, because this is just from insights. You have not yet tested those insights thoroughly and whether this opportunity will actually give you the right returns. And I'll just give you an example here. Say your your North Star metric was how many consecutive sessions are being attended. Say you find out through insight that if you have some kind of a home practice in between 2 consecutive sessions, there's a higher probability that the person might attend the next session. Say you arrived at this insight. That is your opportunity. You had a goal alignment score, you have a strategic alignment score, you have a hypothesis. What is the hypothesis? Home practice can be tracked, whether your app will be able to check whether the home practice is being done or not. Second hypothesis, maybe users will be able to attend next session. Maybe they have done home practice so much that their muscles are sore and things like that, and they do not attend the next session. So you have to validate these hypotheses before you actually execute this decision. We'll go on to the actions matrix. Here you have done your decision. You have eliminated all the irrelevant opportunities which you want to postpone or you want to remove or pull out. Here what you do is then build these actions on top of these opportunities. Actions, as I said, are your key product initiatives. But before building the key product initiatives, what every product leader should do is define the objectives and key results. Okay, this is where the OKR framework comes from. And let's take the same example. Say you want to ensure the continuity between sessions through home practice. Okay, now what is your objective here? You want to increase the home practice usage among your existing users. What are the results that you're looking for, which will help you gain confidence that your objective will be achieved? Okay, these key results are, say you onboard at least 30% users in home practice by the next quarter. Now, once you have onboarded at least 30% users, at least 50% of those onboarded users should perform home practice. And other key result is demonstrate an average weight maintenance of some tolerance between consecutive sessions. So these are some key results which will help you gain confidence that your objective will be achieved. Now, from these key results is when you build those product initiatives. Say you want to onboard at least 10% users into home practice, you have to create an user onboarding capability. How you do, we don't know. That is in your solution product discovery and your product roadmap and so on. So I need to improve user onboarding. I need to give nudges to the user saying that, hey, you have onboarded to home practice, but you're not using it. Okay, you give nudges, you give notifications, things like that. You have to track whether the users are actually performing home practice or not. So these are the actions. So we selected a decision which was home practice and we brought out the actions. So this, if you do it for all the selected opportunities, which are decisions, that you list down all the decisions and all the actions related to the decisions, this is where it completes your initial product strategy creation. Just wanted to highlight what OKRs are, and a lot of startups have also not now started using OKRs. Let's take the same examples in the right canvas. Say we started with a business OKR that I wanted to increase the registered user base by 20% by the end of the year. Now I have some sales OKR that I want to onboard at least 10K users. I have a marketing OKR saying that I want to reach out to at least 50K users because I want to increase the user base, right? So I want to ensure that users are onboarded, users are targeted, we reach using marketing materials, and in product, we want to see that the usage is increased because if we increase the usage, people recommend, which we found out from our empirical solutions, and the user base gets increased. So you can see I picked up this add capabilities that increase average product usage by 10% to our product strategy. So from business strategy, which had these OKRs, I came on to product strategy. Now you can see the C as your objective. Add capabilities that increase the average product usage by 10% within 6 months. How will you do that? You have taken some decisions. Now increase the CSAT score from 2.5% to 3.5%. Or introduce capabilities that reduce the time to value, or increase home practice usage. Now you take one of these objectives and then you define what are actions you are taking. So this is your decision that we discussed some time back, that I want to increase home practice usage. And these are the KRs, key results, that we're looking at. So you can see that how a business strategy and OKRs cascade to your product strategy, marketing strategy, and sales strategy. Then your product strategy then goes on to your different teams with different set of objectives, and each of those teams will have their own set of OKRs. And all these results, once you achieve these key results, you ultimately ensure that your top level objective gets achieved and you reach the final business objective. Just wanted to highlight the concept of OKRs. In interest of time, I'll skip this short exercise. Now, once your decisions are done, you have to validate those decisions. Okay. Now, how do you validate those decisions? You have to have some validation goals. Now, for home practice, you have some goals here that the home practice can be tracked. Users will be able to attend the next session. If you remember from the hypothesis we discussed, and we have required knowledge to accurately forecast weight. Then you select one of the goals and develop a validation cadence. Say, I'll do user research first, then I'll do an ethnographic research, then I'll do experimentation, then I'll do concept testing, and so on. And finally, after you get results, you validate this, whether that opportunity is worth pursuing or not. At this stage, you are validating. And once you validate, you have to completely commit that this is the decision and these are the actions that I'm going to take and execute. Okay, so there are three options: either you validate, you invalidate, or you wait. You got some new insights. Say whatever insights you got during your initial stage were not the right insights. You feed that back into your product strategy. And finally, you need to evaluate. Now, what is evaluation? Every, say, quarter, I'll evaluate what is the result of those decisions that I've taken. So this is a framework, simple framework that I've created. The final decision I wanted you to highlight to you is whether you go full throttle, whether you're only on track, whether you're laggard or you're broke. Full throttle means you are achieving your North Star metric pretty easily, and then you put more resources. On track is you're sufficiently on track, you need to go in the same direction. Laggard is something that you're falling back, but if you put some resources, you will be able to reach your milestone. And broke is that opportunity, even though we validated that opportunity, something went wrong. Say, as I said, cryptocurrency was taxed, for example. Cryptocurrency returns were taxed. Something happened in the middle and it went broke. I'll not pursue that. And finally, what you present to your stakeholders, your business leaders, just this, which is your product strategy. And if I could take you back to Richard Rummel's, hello. Yeah, if you go back to the Richard Rummel's product strategy, if you can see on the left side, diagnosis of the challenge, what is the guiding policy, and what are the coherent actions. So this is what you have to finally fill and present to your senior management. That is, what is the vision? What are the goals? What is the strategic context? Where are we right now? Where do we want to go? What are the strategic decisions that we have taken, and what are the strategic actions? So this is what you call as the canvas or a blueprint that you present to your senior management. So now let's quickly, if Shama, do you want to pause here for questions, or this might be a bit heavy for the audience? So just wanted to check if you want to pause for.
There are a few questions though in the Q&A window, but I think we'll take it towards the end of the session. Okay. But audience, if you have any questions that you want to ask right now related to what Nilesh has spoken, so you can just raise your hand and I can unmute you. I see one raised hand, Hasinu.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask your question, Hasinu Rahman.
Yes, Asinu.
Okay, I guess not.
Sorry, actually, unfortunately, that happened. I was just listening.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So I think we continue. And
yeah, in interest of time, let's continue. So now we'll see a brief example of how these product strategies created across all these frameworks that we discussed. Let's take an example of a website called as Medium, which is a blogging website wherein users can create stories and post those stories for readers to actually read those stories. So what you can see here is the product context, which I discussed earlier. Who is your user? What are the value drivers? What are the capabilities? What is the product, value proposition, industry, delivery and capture, and what is the current product strategy? So I'll quickly just highlight what is the user here. It is Medium readers. Now this readers, if you see the business model is a revenue here, it is a premium model. So you can read on Medium for 5 articles for free. Once those 5 articles per month expire, you'll have to purchase either a monthly subscription or an annual subscription. Monthly is for $5, annual is for $50. So before a product manager actually comes in Medium to create a product strategy, you have to have this product context. And say I come on to current product strategy, say PDLC stage is a growth stage. I have taken some decisions. The previous product manager or product leader has taken some decisions on Medium, saying that I want to allow users easy way to consume content given their busy schedule, or I want provide authors feedback on their content, or I want to save time spent on searching for the next story. Okay, and what are the actions you take? You use audio narrations. Say I have say as a reader, I have a busy schedule. What did I do as actions? I introduce audio narrations. Instead of reading, I listen to audio so that I can fit that in my busy schedule. Say I want to provide author feedback on the content. So I'll curate comments from different users who are reading it and share it with the author. Say that is the action. I want to save time spent on searching for the next story. I'll improve recommendations and so on. So this is the product strategy that I've created, which is decisions and actions. And this is a website. I'm not going to explain it. I think I'm pretty sure everyone knows Medium, that there's an option to read and there's an option to write, and there are a lot of capabilities that are present here. Let me quickly go on to the strategic context. I have clearly mentioned what is the business strategy here. So where to play? Now I have changed my, I had a previous product strategy. I had an established business model. Now I have changed my business strategy. Say I want to play, I want to target content connoisseurs, tech savvy audience, college graduates, and so on. How to win? I want to differentiate with customer intimacy and product leadership. Okay, so these are some of the ways I want to win. And I had some moves that I made. I acquired Knowledgeable for audio narrations. I acquired Projector and so on. So these are the actual things that have happened in Medium, and I'm just sharing them. And I also have a company scorecard which discusses what are the business stats till now, what are the product stats till now, and so on. What I have done is I have saying that I am in a growth stage. Okay, now I have sufficient users on my platform. I want to, as a business goal, the next business goal, my business vision, I had a business vision, say company vision. I want to become the most trusted and vibrant ecosystem fueled by important ideas and people who want to think about them. Okay, so I want to become the most trusted and vibrant ecosystem, and say that at this point in time, I have sufficient ecosystem created. I want to increase that, but I want to also achieve significant revenue so that I can fuel the new capabilities with that revenue. That is my business goal for now in my growth stage. Okay. Now let's say the product goal is to increase the total actions taken by the users or readers on the platform. Say the claps, say comments, say share, and so on. And I have derived the North Star metric based on empirical equations, saying that my total quality weekly read time is something that I want to improve. So I have created a small goals matrix wherein I have listed down from different user persona, how much do I want to increase the weekly quality read time so that I impact my business goal and the product goal. Moving on, I have now defined, now I want to move towards gaining the opportunities. What are the insights? Say I'm not going into insights because it's difficult to list down all the insights, but say I have a list of insights that I have got from different sources, and now I want to create opportunities. Now, how do I create the opportunities that I've received from the insights, but has to impact the weekly read time that I'm looking at? Okay, now let's see, we have two users, who is a reader, who is an author, and these are not user personas, but these are archetypes. Okay, the user persona is based on subscription status, whether I am a non-subscriber, whether I am a frequent reader, whether I have a specific topic of interest, and so on. Okay, so these are the user personas that I have defined. Now I'm going through my customer life cycle. This is just an input that I wanted to share. First, I'm not aware of Medium. I gain acquaintance to Medium. Someone shared me a link of Medium, or I just searched on browser something and I got to Medium, and so on. Then I visit Medium. I explore Medium. I read a story. I create a login. That is where I've activated myself. I read more stories. Now I'm interested that I've got some information. Let me write a story and see whether I am capable of writing stories or not. I save it as a draft first, but then I publish the story. Once that is done, I read more stories. I save them as list. I follow others. I find value in the story. This time I have decided that Medium is worth my money. Now I purchase the membership. I keep on reading more stories. Now I want to also earn from Medium, so that I can write stories and earn from Medium. So I sign a partner program. I write more stories. I create a publication. I become a loyal member. And then I advocate Medium to more members and renew subscription, and I continue engagement in Medium. So this is the whole life cycle for a user of Medium. Now let's see how it impacts the opportunities that we create. Now we have to, this is the user, this is a general user journey. This is a user journey for a reader. Okay. Now I have a mindset that I have to improve the North Star metric of my read time. Now, how is the read time impacted? Say my user journey is, I come via browser, I read an article, or I come to Medium website, I explore, search, read an article, I search for recommendations, I read another article, and so on, and finally exit. So this is my whole session, one session. Okay. The previous one I showed is your customer life cycle and not a user life cycle. This is a user. So I have say purchased a subscription, or I'm reading a free article. What is the entry point? What do I do inside that session? And I exit the session, and so on. So how do I, just like the Netflix example which we took, wherein we had to increase the watch time, how do I increase the weekly read time for this user? So either I increase the number of users that I've highlighted here. If I increase the number of users, I increase the total weekly read time. Say I increase the total sessions per week. The more sessions, the more read time. Okay. Now I increase the average read time per session. So I have increased the sessions now. I want to increase the overall time of that session. Okay. And from that session time, I want to increase how much time is spent reading and not on searching or exploring and so on. So this is how I've created that North Star metric and the actionable metrics that I was talking about. The same thing which we did for. And now for each of these metrics, okay, I then have these insights and I create possible opportunities. Just let me give you one example. Now, number of sessions per user per week. Now, this is a behavioral challenge. There are some behavioral models that I can use, which is the Fox behavioral model or Neil Ayal's hook model, to create these insights from the data that I've got and create some possible opportunities. Now, let me take an example. Let's say I want to just let me take an example. Details of the link must be interesting enough to. So my entry points are to increase the number of sessions. I have to increase the possibility that my user gets access to those entry points. Now those entry points are either someone shares me a link of Medium, or I directly visit the Medium website, or I do some browser search, say on product management, and I get the first link of product management on my Google search, and I click on that and I go to Medium. So I got some insights. Now say one insight is details of the links must be interesting enough to attract attention. Say I get a link, but I do not, I just find product management link. I do not find what is it and will it interest me so that I can click and in turn increase the number of sessions per week. Okay, so what I will do is I'll take that as a possible opportunity that I can improve how the link looks and how to make it attractive enough for the person to whom it is got shared. For example, just a random example. Let's take another example. For example, I want to increase the read time. Okay, time. How will I increase that? I'll decrease the search time. I'll decrease the exploration time. But I want to increase the read time per story. I want to reduce the I want introspection time per story. But I want to reduce the break time in which I take breaks. Okay. Now, for example, let's see how I reduce the break time. One example is need to break to reduce fatigue, because I'm going through a lot of stories and I'm getting fatigued. Okay. How do I reduce the fatigue? So that is a problem that I need to solve for the user so that my overall read time increases. So this is how I come to possible opportunities from these insights. And I'll quickly move on to the choices. So this is the final set of choices that I have got. For example, and I have clubbed it into strategic themes, which is always beneficial because you'll have tons of insights. And see, you can see in the reader delight, you have fatigue reduction. Okay. And as in choices, I have estimated the target impact through opportunity estimation. So we have a lot of themes saying that I'll increase reader delight, I'll increase reader interactions, interaction between reader. Now, Medium does not have one user interacting with another user. Say I'll create groups of users and let them interact and discuss stories that they have read and so on. There are plethora of opportunities that you can explore in Medium, and that is what I've listed here. Okay, you can include gamification, for example. Okay, you can give points to users saying that, oh, you have completely read this article and you have clapped on it and you have commented on it, you gain 1 point. Say how do I increase how do I increase the subscription, which I finally want to attain in terms of revenue? Say I give you 1 month of free subscription if you reach, say, 10 points, so some X number of points. Okay, so the more you read, the more you get an increased number of points, and the more you get a free subscription, and so on. So there are a plethora of things you can do here, but not all need to be selected. It all depends on your goal alignment or your target impact that finally happens. And then you do a trade-off and elimination, trade-offs, wherein you decide whether it is strategically aligned. Let's take an example of fatigue reduction that we were discussing. So what I've done is I have analyzed it from the market. I have analyzed from the customers. Say, how does it impact readers? Segment characteristics. It impacts readers with high read time per session with longer articles or multiple sessions. Is it frequent? Is it urgent? Is it important? What if I do not resolve it? What is the impact? Your read time will reduce. Okay, what are the benefits if I deliver this opportunity? Say an effortless read. It improves focus. Okay, it enhances read quality and so on. So what I have done is I have rated and have scored each one of these 4 factors that we discussed, and I've given a strategic alignment score. Finally, what I have done is for each of the opportunities, I have then taken a decision whether I want to pursue, whether I want to postpone, or whether I want to pull out based on what final alignment score from your goal alignment to strategic alignment, and what is the success probability. So let's quickly check how this fatigue reduction, how this fatigue reduction can be converted into actions. So my opportunity or the decision that I've made is I have to improve fatigue reduction for users who are reading. Now, what is the objective? Of course, it's reduce user fatigue to increase the story read time. Now, how can I do it? Okay, I improve the user read satisfaction score, something that I calculate by 10%. That is when I'll come to know whether the user read fatigue has decreased. Maybe my read time has increased over a period of time. My subscription percentage has increased and so on. Now, how do I do this? What are the actions that I can take? Say I can introduce product interventions. Say I can introduce different modes. Say I introduce dark mode. Okay, or I introduce something called as eye comfort shield. Okay. I nudge users to take breaks, saying that, hey, you have read 5 stories. I think you should take a break, rejuvenate yourself, have some water, and come back and read more interesting stories. Okay. You can show some relaxing images after the 5th story that the user has completed reading. Say a relaxing image of of a beach or a mountain and some good music you can play, just as number. There are endless actions you can take, and then check whether validate them, whether something like this, some actions like this can actually help you improve your score or not. So I'm not going to the validation and the there is no value. I have not done the validation and performance evaluation phase, but I want to highlight something called as a product strategy myopia. Okay, there are some points. So when creating your product strategy, what you do is at times you always think that your customer needs can be satisfied only with your current product. You can create a new product. You can satisfy using marketing, or you can sell it better. There are a lot of ways you can solve. You can improve the service. You can ask the partners to provide the required amount of capabilities. You don't need to do all in your current set of product. So over engineering for North Star metric, as I said, small improvements will lead to your improvement of North Star metric, but that is over focus on the goals. You should focus on the vision as well, not just the immediate goals. Now there are certain personas that don't get directly impacted by North Star. Now our North Star was weekly read time, but you have other personas as well. The archetypes of author. If I completely focus on my North Star, I do not do any improvements for the other personas. So I have to ensure that it's not just North Star metric, counter metrics, other metrics also need to be focused on. And that is something which I've not included in this. Focus on later needs takes a backseat. As I said, you do not, when you do your research of your customers, you only see what are the current needs. Do not focus on the later needs. And that is what needs to be solved in your moonshots and big bets and so on. So don't over focus on the current needs, but broaden your mindset, have an insight driven culture, which will help you actually gain insight on the latent needs and not just the immediate needs. And as I said, not everything can be achieved in a single strategy horizon or epoch. You have to separate it into buckets. That is your first bucket, fundamentals, needle movers, and so on. So again, as I said, you have to open your mind towards a bigger picture. That is a vision. Product and business goals are likely to change. So you have to align and evaluate with during the evaluation whether your goals have changed or not. And considering opportunities as solutions. This is something without researching and validating them leads to feature factories. So you take an opportunity, say fatigue reduction, and immediately create a solution without researching and validating whether solution works for your customers and will it help the product and business goals, is something which should be avoided, because you'll keep on creating features with minimal impact. So this is the concept of product strategy myopia, which is myopia is narrow sightedness. So you have to open your mind and eyes towards a longer term picture, which is your business vision and the product vision, while keeping an eye also on the immediate goals. So it should be a good mix of both and not any one of those. There is something called as a chicken and egg issue, very interesting issue that I wanted to highlight. Is now let me summarize how did we create a traditional opportunity. If you could remember, we first defined the goals, which is the North Star metric, took insights, we created opportunities. From opportunities, we clubbed those opportunities and created choices. From choices, we did a trade-off for goal alignment and strategic alignment. We came to decisions, actions, and once the product strategy is created, you do something called as the product discovery, which is during your execution phase. You find out what are the solutions that will help me solve or execute those decisions. And then you finally go on to roadmap. So your product strategy basically ends at decisions and actions, and your execution is where you do product discovery and roadmap creation. Now, this is the standard way which we have decided, but there is something called as a solution-based opportunity creation. Okay. So at times what happens is you don't look just for insights, okay, from customer, market, company, competitor, and so on. You look for solutions that have worked in one industry or one market, and then adapt it to your situation. Okay, so say if you focus on the right side now, there is a solution-based opportunity creation wherein you have adjacent industries, upcoming technologies, changing user behaviors, which had led to solutions that are already used by your competitors and others and so on. What you have to do is that solution is at a high level. You have to check whether that solution is satisfying any of your value drivers or not, and whether it is helping you achieve your goal or not. Okay, and then you can use those insights, create opportunities, create choices, decisions, and actions. And then now the solutions now here is the detailed level solution. So you have a fair enough idea of what that solution is, but you have to detail it and customize it the way it will support your business environment, and not just do a copy of your competitor and so on, and then create a roadmap. So there are two perspectives here. You directly come from your problems and needs and you create a solution. The other thing is you have a solution that someone else has used. You check whether that satisfies some need or not, and then create an opportunity, decision, actions, and finally a detailed solution. Now, I'll like to take one example wherein you have heard of Snapchat stories. Now, Instagram, who has a similar target market, which is youngsters, mostly youngsters, had taken that concept and implemented it, and ensured that since the target market is same, the needs are same, the problems we solved are same, when they implemented it, their DAU increased much faster than that of Snapchat, who had originated stories. But the same solution of stories, which was implemented by Twitter and LinkedIn, which have completely different target segments. Okay, Twitter is varied. It does not have just youngsters. And the actual target segment of Twitter, if you see, is between 25 and 34. And somewhere, some say 50% is between 25 and 34, and the rest of 50% is between 34 and 50. And there are a lot of less youngsters. Okay, they do not prefer this concept of ephemeral content creation. Stories is like it will vanish within 24 hours. Okay, those people from 25 to 50 don't want that. And Twitter is a platform where you want to actually have tweets which are permanent. That is why they don't even give them the option to edit the tweets. Why would they be used to, or why would they want to create something called as stories, which are ephemeral? So I can share an insight which a product leader of Twitter gave on the failure of Twitter feeds. They said that we wanted to ensure that people who are not tweeting, stories might possibly make them tweet. And this was the actual statement, might possibly make them tweet, but they were wrong. That was an assumption that was not validated. Okay, let's take an example of LinkedIn stories. Okay, LinkedIn just copied it from Twitter feeds and of course from Instagram, and they also failed miserably. Within 1 year, LinkedIn story was gone. I think not even a year it lasted. Now, one of the statements surprising statements that the product manager or product leader highlighted is, if you could read this, you wish videos could live on your profile, not disappear. In developing stories, we assumed people wouldn't want informal videos attached to their profile. So there's a big assumption that they made that an ephemeral way of sharing is what LinkedIn wants, or maybe what Twitter wants. That is how they failed. So you have to understand that solutions can be copied and included as a part of your product strategy, but they should suit the needs of your target segment, and they should be aligned with your complete business environment. So this is the chicken and egg issue that I wanted to highlight. And as I mentioned, product strategy is not created within a single horizon. It goes across horizons. And this is picked up from the 3 horizons framework that McKinsey has popularized. So the first horizon is defend your existing business, which is your fundamentals and needle movers. You defend and extend your current business to achieve the immediate goals. Then you drive growth in emerging new businesses, which is your big bets. And finally, your horizon 3 is seed options for future businesses. Say your current product strategy can later lead on to spawning a new product, which can be included in your product portfolio. Okay, which can be a big bet or a moonshot for now, but then later on a product might be created, which will bring another revenue stream, and so on. So this is something that I've highlighted about product strategy horizons. And finally, for the end of the session, this is something called as logic model, which I'm not going to explain, which is a summary of all that we have discussed till now. And program managers who are in program management will understand what a logic model is. And I have tried to do it for your actionable product strategy, but I've explained what is a situation for an actionable product strategy, what are the priorities like goals and so on, what are the inputs, what are the outputs, who are the participants, in creating these actionable product strategy? What are the activities that need to be taken? What are the outputs or the products? Say your product strategy blueprint that you create is your product. Some reports that you create is your product. What are the final outcomes and what are the final impacts? So this is just for your understanding. Maybe later on, once you want to revisit the video, you can just have a look, and this summarizes the overall actionable product strategy. Shama, do you want to go on to the next section? Or do you want to?
There's a chance if you have any questions related to the section that Nilesh has covered, please go on, raise your hand and ask your question.
The only reason you might feel that this is so complicated is because it actually is the way product strategies is created. And product strategy is not an easy topic to actually execute in the organization. So just wanted to highlight that. You might feel that it's complicated. You might want to revisit this. I'll share the slide deck across. You might want to go through it again. And in case you have any questions, you can. I'll also share my LinkedIn profile, and you can connect with me. Yeah. So Nishant, you have.
Nishant, you can go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah, hi Nilesh. Thank you so much for giving me this masterclass session on product strategy.
Thank you so much.
Firstly, I want to thank you. Then secondly, actually, I have developed multiple products and still I'm developing. That is related to telecom domain.
Okay.
So here what as I'm getting a gap because we are a solution integrator, means we are taking the product from the development company and selling to the client.
Okay.
So what requirement we are getting from the client and what we are giving to the development company, there is a gap, right? Multiple times we are facing the gap.
Okay.
Related to timeline. So how I can strategize my product so that I can meet both client expectation and as well as I will also this product company, right? Because they have some delivery plan. So there is expectation mismatch.
Okay. Okay. So you are saying that you are a system integrator who sort of augments an existing telecom product, provides a value wrapper on top of that, and sells it to the customer.
Yeah. Perfect.
And customer requirements that are specific customizations that they want, and you sort of create solution along around the existing product. Is that
right?
So I think the question is more related to timelines that you asked, right? It is more in the project management and the program management domain. What you're saying is your customer expectations are not aligned with your business. Is that what you're saying? Because it is not totally into the product management domain. It sort of overlaps with your project.
No, so because here I also need to look the whole overall product also, right? Means what features customer expecting, I need to check, right? Because product, what we require as a product, we are giving to the development team, right?
I know, but this is more, this I feel, and it's my personal opinion, is more of a service that you're providing, but providing a value wrapper on top of it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it is not wholesome product as such. It eventually turns out to be a custom product for your individual customers. For example, another customer can come to me. Maybe you can use some capabilities that you gave to another customer. Okay, maybe you can reuse some of them, but these are individual separate products that you're creating for, say, a particular target market. Okay, that is what my understanding is from what you have explained. Now, your question is that there are multiple customers that are coming to you with varied requirements, and then how do you manage your product development and so on? Was that the question?
Yeah, multiple multiple client will come, and then how we can manage the product.
So what you can do is you can think of a product strategy to create a generic wrapper on top of it, on top of the product that you are purchasing from any of the OEMs. I'm not sure what that telecom product is, but once your original equipment manufacturer gives you that telecom product, you have to create product strategy only to create your own product on top of it so that it serves a particular customer segment. I'll just give you one example. Say your telecom product is you're selling it to two verticals, or maybe two set of customers. Say you're selling it to enterprise, you're selling it to growth customers. Can you give me more details of what that telecom product is? Is it a software? Is it a hardware?
It's mainly software.
Okay. So you're saying that you can sell it to different verticals, say that healthcare or your manufacturing and so on?
Yeah, means we can right now. It's not telecom software. It's not only for horizontal vertical. It's only horizontal
So
also.
what you can do is actually create a platform strategy which will have the common capabilities that span across various verticals that you are selling your product to. So basically your core product is present. You create a platform on top of that. You include all capabilities, say analytics capabilities is something which is common. You can just change the metrics based on what your industry, what your vertical is. Say healthcare will have different analytics, manufacturing will have different analytics. Create that platform layer and then create custom applications on top of that. So ideally speaking, if I were in a leadership position there, I would have two separate strategies. One is a vertical specific product strategy for a particular vertical, and a common platform strategy, product platform strategy that I'll create. Okay. And what this will do is it will help the deadlines problem. So what you're doing is a piecemeal approach, wherein you're taking customer requirements for one, implementing something, taking it from second, checking whether is it possible to sort of take some capabilities from the first implementation, use it in the second, again a third one comes with something different. Instead, create a common platform which have the common capabilities and keep on improving based on your industry, your domain insights and so on, and then have individual that will help tremendously in managing your customer timelines, because you are not customizing your product significantly. You have a platform layer first, and then maybe you're tweaking your applications to your individual verticals that you have. So that is what I suggest your leadership to take an approach on, to ensure that the customer timelines are managed.
Okay, thank you, Nilesh. Thank you so much.
Now we have a few more questions, Nilesh, if that's okay.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay. Vipul, go ahead and ask your question. Vipul, if you're around, you can go ahead and ask your question now.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, like, from the product strategy perspective, what is the main difference, if there is, between B2B and B2C product strategies? Like how we can make a product strategy for a B2B product as compared to B2C?
I feel the core concepts remain the same. It's just that your product context will change. Okay. Now, it depends on, for example, the one which I discussed now was for a weight reduction app. Okay. Now that weight reduction app and medium are your traditional B2C companies. For a B2B company, you might have something called as a clear differentiation. So you are saying that you have a B2B product that you're selling, right? If that question is understood.
Right.
So you have to understand that the product context will involve both your buyers and sellers. So you have to ensure that your ultimate goal should not be specific to your user, but it should be aligned with both your buyers and sellers. So you might possibly have different product goals for both of these. I can see that as the major difference, because you have to have different set of requirements to satisfy the needs of the buyers and the sellers. You cannot buyers and the users. So that is a significant distinction. I think I can see. Apart from that, the overall concept remains the same. Your business strategy will also change, because your business strategy now has to target not just your users but your buyers. So what will you how will you market and sell it becomes more relevant. It becomes relevant in B2C as well, but you have separate sales team which will possibly do door-to-door selling or sort of create collaterals or white papers or webinars and things like that to actually sell your product and so on. So product strategy, apart from a buyer user, I do not see a significant amount of difference, but there might be a significant impacts on your marketing and sales strategy in that sense. But yes, your product goals should be equally catering both your buyers and your users, unless you have a complete product led growth where your users sort of push your buyers to, hey, this is very useful, please buy this for us so that we'll achieve something good and so on. So I think that is the major difference I see. Otherwise, the frameworks that I've shared across are very generic and not specific to a particular business model.
Okay. Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Vipul, for your question. Akhilesh, you want to go ahead and ask a question?
Yeah, thank you, Nilesh. It has been such an insightful session so far. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Nilesh.
Yeah, so I have a question which we typically face in day-to-day scenario, right? It relates to the adoption of the product and what should be the strategy that one should adopt. So my question is, see, we often face a challenge that like you launch a product or you are an early entrant, like, or you are
Okay.
already you are there in a, you are an early entrant, or you are a, you know, in a crowded market
Okay.
where competition is been there for a longer time.
Right.
So what happens even if your product is at par or maybe having a better features than the competitor, but you face a challenge when it comes to adoption, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the premium segment of the market. Like even if you have a better features, still people are skeptical whether, you know, whether to adopt that, whether to use that. They're not sure. So what should be one strategy, you know, to, you know, increase the adoption at this stage?
So you're saying that you are in a growth stage.
I'll supplement with an example
Okay. Okay.
for more clarity. For
And
example,
that is something which I'll be slightly covering in the next section. But yeah, yeah, go ahead.
okay. For example, iPhone offers in a smartphone industry, like it is into premium segment of market. They target a premium segment, and
Yeah.
they can charge 1.5 lakhs also, or 2 lakhs also. People will not hesitate to
Right.
buy.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
similarly, if you example for the Xiaomi's of the world, yeah, like if they want to launch a smartphone at a price segment of 2 lakh, people will be a little bit skeptical.
That is
So
because your brand. That is
yeah.
because your brand equity is created in such a way that you are targeting completely different segments,
Mhm.
and you are also that is where the business strategy comes into picture. Xiaomi operates mainly on a cost focused strategy. That is a business strategy. Your iPhone operates on a differentiation strategy, and of course, included with your product leadership and your customer intimacy and so on. And of course, it's supported by marketing, equivalent marketing and brand creation to basically charge that price. So the business strategy is different. Based on that, your product strategy changes. For example, Xiaomi will not use very costly components for your camera. They'll use cheaper components and so
Mhm.
on. This iPhone, on the other hand, will ensure that they have sufficient margin, and they'll jack up your prices so much by including very quality components that you can use it for a long time. So it is a scope of a business strategy. So if you are in a crowded market, it first impacts your business strategy. You have to decide what is the business strategy that you want. Okay, which is
Okay.
either you want a differentiation, if you I'll suggest you read something called there are two frameworks there. One is your Porter generic strategies, which
Okay.
mentions whether you are differentiation or cost, and whether you are a mass market or a focused niche market. And second is something called as the value disciplines, the three value disciplines, which is customer intimacy, product leadership, and your operational excellence. So when you combine these two frameworks, you will arrive at a business strategy, and based on that, your product strategy can be derived. So in the APS dependencies, I'll quickly touch upon this. I actually wanted to skip this, but I think we can cover this at a very high level. And that is when I explain what are the business strategy and product strategy decisions that need to be taken if you are entering a competitive market, say a monopolistic competition or a monopoly, and so on. And at what stage are you in your life cycle and so on. So if I can quickly cover it in the next section if you guys want.
Yeah, sure. That will be great. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Nilesh.
Thanks. Can we move ahead quickly? This is the last section, and I'll quickly go through it. I know we are already short of time, but I think this is a complicated but an important section, which supplements what Akhilesh just pointed out at. Let's move. So if you consider your product, okay, it is just a single point in a multiple dimension coordinate system. Okay, you guys understand coordinate system? There are multiple axes. Okay, and your product is just one point. Okay, now what happens is, say your product started from your origin, that is your 0, 0, 0, 0, what, how much ever dimensions that is, and based on your product strategy, your product moves in a certain manner. But what happens is you assume that your product strategy will help your product move to your destination, but there are multiple forces that come into picture. And these forces are from these different dimensions in the coordinate system. The lenses that we discuss in your insight sources wheel, which is the market, company, industry, domain, ecosystem, your customer, micro environment, tech trends, and so on. What happens is these forces come and impact your product. Even though it's on the path of product strategy, it impacts your product and moves it in different directions. For example, say that there is something happened with your market, overall market segment. Your customers are dropping. Okay, customers are not happy. Some bad reviews went in the market saying that, hey, these guys are cheats and so on. Your market share drops. So you can see the market dimensions, it lowers on your market share. You might still have a good portfolio share in your company, saying that your company is investing sufficient money, but your market share drops. Say something happened to your environment. Okay, say for example, just like I mentioned, you get embroiled in some legal stuff. For example, Facebook got impacted because of their data privacy reasons. Okay, maybe the overall usage, your product usage, that is a product dimension, PDLC dimension, maybe decreased. Your overall product usage decreased, and your market share decreased, and so on. So what I'm trying to say is, even though you create a very good product strategy, there are chances that your product strategy might get impacted because a lot of forces along these dimensions. And that is what I mentioned, is that a product is always in a Brownian motion. Okay, what you can do to avoid these jerks or these forces on acting on is it continuously evaluate your product strategy, whether it's going in the right direction, whether there are some new insights that have come, and do I need to change it. So if you could see the diagram below, you from current state to desired state, it's not a straight path. Okay, it goes along various paths, and these forces are forces along these dimensions that I just mentioned. Just wanted to highlight the importance of product strategy evaluation when you go into actual execution, because you have to ensure that a lot of these forces do not derail you from reaching the desired state. And there is something called as product dynamics, which is regular reports that you send to your senior leadership regarding how your product strategy is getting executed. For example, the product strategy blueprint that I shared earlier is just that you have completed the product strategy. But what is the current dynamics of that product strategy is what happens using the product dynamics chart that I've shown here. So what it does is, what is your current position along all these dimensions, and what are the possible barriers to reach the desired state. I won't go through each one of them, but this is a point that I wanted you to highlight, that apart from your product strategy blueprint that you share across all your stakeholders, this is a regular report, product dynamics, that you have to share with all your stakeholders so that everyone is aware how your product strategy is moving and whether it is on the path to reach your desired state. Now, what I'll do is I'll quickly pick and explain in brief 3 dimensions, which is company, industry, and PDLC stage. So this is your product lifecycle stage. I'm very sure everyone is aware of. It starts from development, introduction, growth, maturity, saturation, decline, elimination. There's something called as product extension, wherein you can extend the life of your product before it enters the decline stage. And there are various goals at every point in time. After development, you want to ensure that you have problem solution fit. After introduction, you should have a product market fit before you reach the growth stage. So as you can see, I've mentioned all these PDLC stages, and how, if you are at each stage, how your business goals and strategies changes, something which Akhilesh highlighted. Akhilesh highlighted about the competition, but I'm also highlighting about the PDLC stage. That is, at every stage, your business goals and strategies will change. For example, at development, you will be more value focused. If you introduce or launch your product in the market, you'll be acquisition and activation focused. How many users can you get? How many users can you sign up? In growth, you'll focus on conversion. Okay, conversion does not always mean monetization. Conversion can also mean that they are regularly using your particular product. In maturity, you will focus on monetization, because maturity is the phase wherein your business benefits are maximum, maturity and saturation. And that is when you want to sort of ensure that you get maximum profits out of it. So you can see a profit curve here. It starts going down, and during the introduction stage, when you cross the chasm, it starts increasing, and then sort of again flattens down. So this area under the curve that you have here is what you want to maximize ultimately to achieve your business goals. So that is how this works. Then you focus on retention. Then ultimately in decline, you have to just sell off your inventory as fast as possible and work on profitability. And then you have to minimize losses. And then again in extension, where you maybe target a new market with the same product, you can then again go back to your value focus. And what I've mentioned here in the last column is how it impacts your product strategy. Okay, how your choices differ, how your trade-offs differ, and what you should focus on in order to validate whether your product strategy is moving in the right direction. Again, won't go to in detail because it's quite complex and in depth. I just wanted to highlight that. Another thing I want to highlight is the BCG metrics. You can see that I'm sure many of you might know that based on your market share and your market growth, you can highlight some products in your portfolio as star, some as cash cows, and some as dogs, and so on. So as your product moves through the cycle, you have a question mark to start with, but in growth you have a star. Then during maturity you have a cash cow where you have a stable revenue streams, and you can use those revenue streams to fund new products and so on. And this is how your business grows. And finally in decline it becomes a dog, and finally it is phased out in terms of elimination. Quickly moving on to the industry dependence. Now, as I mentioned earlier, your product can enter, and as Akhilesh also mentioned, your product can enter into a market structure or industry structure at a different stage. For example, you can enter into a perfect competition. Say the competition is such that all products in the competition have very similar capabilities, and you can distinguish only through marketing or branding and so on. Say you have a monopolistic competition wherein, as you can see the product producer structure, your monopolistic competition is still differentiated. So there are multiple players, but they have unique capabilities that solves the needs of a particular target segment. You can have a duopoly. Duopoly is something like you have Airtel and Vodafone. Now Vodafone and now the telecom market got consolidated because you have Idea and Spice and I don't know what are the other Aircel and things like that got consolidated. But then you were in a duopoly when Airtel and Vodafone were the prime players. But then it changed into an oligopoly wherein Jio came into picture and things like that. So for Jio, it is entering a duopoly. What should be its business strategy? What should then after the business strategy be its product strategy and so on? So that is what I want to highlight here. And there is something called as competitive positions. Now, when you enter a market, when you enter say a crowded market wherein you have a lot of competition, how do you enter? Whether you enter as a challenger, Jio entered as a challenger for Airtel and Vodafone. Do you follow them? There's something called as a fast follower strategy. You just keep on copying. For example, stories was copied from by Instagram. Instagram did not think it's the same target market, same needs. They have already created a good solution. Let me just copy it and execute it. So it was a challenger, and it successfully became a leader in that particular segment and so on. So these are the various competitive positions that you can take on entry. And this is what I have mentioned is what business strategy you should take if you are in perfect competition, if you are in monopolistic competition, if you are in oligopoly and duopoly, monopoly. And there's something called as blue ocean. Blue ocean is where you actually create your market. These are uncontested markets. Okay, it's not a monopoly. No one is present at that in that market, and you are serving very unique needs of that market. So that is where you create a blue ocean. And of course, if you enter a blue ocean, you are actually creating a good category. You of course enter as a leader, market leader, and create a substantial differentiation. So this is how I have just mentioned that your industry structure in what your product is entering at also impacts how your product strategy gets created. And finally, your product strategy is also dependent on your company stage. Now, company stages are different. You can be a startup, you can be a grow up, you can be a scale up, you can be a scaler, and you can be a corporate. Okay. At each point in time, okay, there are different corporate and business goals that you want to achieve. And based on that, your product strategy also changes. This is what I wanted to quickly highlight. I won't go into depth because this is at a very in-depth level of how product strategy gets impacted by different dimensions of a multi-dimensional coordinate system. So just wanted to highlight that, and that is where I end this section. Finally, I wanted to give a quick key takeaways before I end the session and open it up for questions. Very simple takeaways. I want you to understand that product strategy is a set of decisions and actions that help you achieve your path towards product vision. And on the way, it helps you achieve your product goals and business goals within the boundary of your strategic context. You cannot go beyond that boundary because you will go against the organization. So it's a decisions and actions that I want you to take away from here. What is actionable product strategy? You have to reduce the uncertainty. You have to instill confidence that your product strategy will be able to achieve goals. How do you do that? By providing measurable metrics and targets for each of the decisions and actions that you have taken. You cannot just have a high level product goal and randomly select decisions saying that, hey, I want to pursue this opportunity. I'll include fatigue reduction. But how will that fatigue reduction help your product goal and business goal? There should be a clear path to reach there. Else your product strategy is completely dependent on fate. Now, some of the details of the building blocks of the product strategy. What are goals? Goals are your product and business goals, where you derive a North Star metric, which has a high correlation between these two goals and which takes you from a current state to your desired state. So those are the goals, and we create a goal matrix for that. There are some insights. Okay, we have a lot of sources that we seen, 8 lenses from where we get those insights. And what we use is we use some kind of tools to sort of generate those insights. And I explain various types of insights, say your creative desperation, your connection, your contradictory, and so on. So once you create all these insights, you have to create opportunities. Now, how these so your goals, your actionable goals, I forgot the actionable part. So North Star metric has to be divided into goals that are actionable. So when you combine your actionable goals of your North Star metric to your insights, you generate something called as opportunities. And that is where the opportunity table comes into the picture. Now what you can do is you can club these opportunities. You do not need to have hundreds of opportunities. You can club multiple opportunities and provide impact to your customers. And when you club these opportunities, they become your choices. These are the possible opportunities, clubbed opportunities that you can possibly pursue. There's something called as trade-offs. So what you do here is you have a lot of choices, but you cannot execute everything. You need to understand which of those choices need to be eliminated and prioritized. So what happens is these trade-offs, which is the goal alignment and the strategic alignment, help you narrow down your set of choices to only those choices that help you reach the goal and that is aligned to your strategic context. And once that narrow down is done, once that elimination is done, that is when you come to your decisions. Now, at decisions, you prioritize the decisions, of course, based on which has the highest impact on your goals. And what you do is finally decide that out of all these opportunities, which one do you want to pursue based on what is the success probability, which one do you want to postpone, and which one do you want to pull out and never ever look at. Okay, postpone means you can check it in the next cycle. And finally, what are actions? Actions are those product initiatives that will help you execute those decisions. So finally, your decisions and actions is what you have to share with your stakeholders and claim that this is the product strategy created for this cycle. And not just that, you have to validate it before sharing the blueprint. There's something called as a validation cycle that you have to do, because you have determined that there's the opportunity estimate that you have done that this will achieve my goal, but that is not necessary. There might be some things which you have missed. So during the validation, you find out whether you have confirmed your hypothesis or you have researched your assumptions and so on. And finally, then validate or invalidate your decision to pursue this opportunity. And once the validation is done, that is when you share with everyone that this is my blueprint, this is the decisions and actions all validated that I am going to pursue. And once you start the execution, now execution is the next phase, wherein you do product discovery, you take one opportunity, you meet your customers, you understand their needs, You define various features, capabilities, and so on, and then put them on a roadmap saying that these are the features that I'm going to implement in the first quarter, these in the second quarter and third quarter. But that is outside your strategy. That is the execution phase. And once you start executing at every cadence, you have to evaluate it. Is it going according to my plan? Is it going to help me achieve my goal or not? If not, can I revisit the strategy? And so on. So that is your validation and evaluation. And finally, dependencies. You have to ensure that your product strategy is not isolated. There are multiple forces that can impact the way in which your product strategy product navigates across your coordinate system. And you have to ensure that you evaluate very thoroughly and take the right product strategy insights at the right stage. For example, you might be entering a particular competitive structure. You might be at a certain product lifecycle stage. You might be at a certain company stage, and things like that. So all these dependencies need to be taken into consideration while creating a product strategy. And where do these dependencies lie? They come back to the insights. So if I can quickly take you to the original diagram that we saw, that is the crux of product strategy cycle. You can see that when you evaluate, your feedback goes into insights. So for example, during evaluation, something happens in terms of market share or something happens in terms of the environment, you feed that back to your insights. Okay. And then during the next product strategy creation, or in fact, you can also decide that, hey, the impact is huge. I need to create it immediately. So immediately after evaluation, you don't wait for the creation cadence. You immediately create your new product strategy based on the insights that you have obtained. So that is what I wanted to sort of highlight. And that comes to the end of this masterclass. And I will open the floor to any questions. And if you want to have a discussion on, gain more insights on product strategy, I'm available on LinkedIn. You can scan the QR code and just connect with me or drop me a message, say hi, and we can have more discussion. Opening up the floor for questions now.
Thank you, Nilesh, for delivering a brilliant session.